This is the Sons of UCF, the number one place for UCF sports, with your distinguished hosts, Adam.
What was your reaction when you got notified that you were going to be a Hall of Famer? How does that sound to you, Coach O'Leary, Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I'm inducted into a number of Hall of Fame.
And Mike.
I don't know if you know this, but I won the 5K race that we did a couple weeks ago.
Now, here are the guys.
Yes, that is correct. We are the Sons of UCF. This is episode number 151. My name is Adam, and as always, my friend and yours, a happy UCF Mike, is back with me for another week. Mike, welcome back. Happy Mike is back, I believe. UCF off a big victory this past Saturday. How is Happy Mike doing?
Happy Mike is much better than pissed off Mike from last week. We have a win to talk about for the first time in a while. So I'm pumped up now to do this show. I'm rejuvenated after that thrilling victory, scoring a touchdown at the very end to win it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we'll get to all that stuff. An action-packed episode 151 for you. As always, we close with Cow of the Week. Mike's picks will be here. We're going to do something different. We'll have a kind of a more in-depth breakdown of UCF versus Cincinnati. Obviously, the big game coming up this Saturday. And before that, we get to all that, though, we'll recap UCF's 20-16 victory over East Carolina. We'll do that with our categories. We'll do some UCF observations. And we'll start right off the top here with just our key thoughts on the overall game, Mike. But before we do all of that, one favor we need from you, make sure you're following us on all the social media stuff. That's at Sons of UCF. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Our website is twonightsmedia.com. Mike is on Twitter at UCFMike1. And don't forget to follow us on Thursday nights for our live show, which brings in Trace Trelko, and that can be found wherever you get your content, YouTube, Facebook, again, twonightsmedia.com. So make sure you check us out in all those places. If you want to give us a review, that would be fine as well. But we're going to start off with a review of the game, Mike. ECU comes in. It's an interesting one. It was a slow starter, if you will. Halftime was a 3-3 tie. But things picked up in the second half, and UCF comes out with a 20-16 victory, Mike. So let's start with this. What are your key observations? What was I guess one or two main takeaways you have from UCF's victory on Saturday?
Man, I'm still impressed with, I got to say, the resiliency of this team to answer the call after two really hard losses with a bye week mixed in between. We hadn't won a game in a while, and to see these guys respond the way they did. And it was not easy. We were losing this game in the fourth quarter. They didn't quit. They could have easily packed it in when the ECU took, were they up 10 in the fourth quarter or 9? Something. They were up a little bit in the fourth. And Gus didn't let these guys quit. They fought just like we saw in the Boise game. They were down big early in that game. They fought back in this one. I don't think any of us think this is a championship team anymore, the way the season's going, because of the injuries. We've had so many injuries to the key players on this team. But the one thing you can say about these guys is that they are not quitters, and they're going to fight through every game. And I love the way they answered the bell on Saturday night.
Yeah, that first half, again, a 3-3 barn burner overall, Mike. I think one of the key takeaways I had is, we did a poll on the live show on the previous Thursday, and it was, what are you more concerned about, offense or defense? I think it was 92% defense, 8% offense was the results of that. And while certainly not the most scientific poll ever, the defense actually really stepped up in this game. We were really concerned about Keaton Mitchell, who was averaging 9.6 or 9.7 yards a carry. Largely, he was held in check, Mike. He only had 17 carries, 67 yards, no touchdown, so largely held in check. And the defensive line and really a defensive front seven that hadn't gotten a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Only 2 sacks coming into the game, both by Josh Selescar. Well, UCF totals 4 sacks in this game as well. So the defense definitely stepped up. And even though we thought maybe we had some challenges there, ECU came in basically scoring 30 points in the last 3 contests. And really, we hold them to 1 touchdown. If you think about it, they had 3 field goals, 1 touchdown. Even that 1 touchdown, if Devad Wilson is 6'3" versus 6'1" or whatever he is, that thing might not even be a touchdown. So I think when the defense stepped up, and just when we all thought maybe the defense was going to go haywire and this was going to be a shootout, and you and I were among those who thought this would be a shootout, the defense came to play, Mike, and that was really awesome to see.
Yeah, you cannot predict football. You can't predict baseball. Any of these sports, that's why sports is so great, because just when you think one thing's going to happen, the complete opposite happens. We thought this was going to be a 45-42 type game. I think our predictions on the show, on the live show to end the show, I said 31-30. You had it like 42-35, something like that. I brought my cousin to this game. I said, look, it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be back and forth. Both teams in the 40s. And here we are, it's 3-3 at the half, and it's final 2016. Nobody saw that coming. What was the over-under? I believe was like 85 points in this game. And I think most people took the over.
Yeah.
So just when you expect one thing to happen, the opposite happens. And that's what makes sports awesome, and especially when you win. If we would have lost, I'd be pissed off, even more pissed off, Mike, than last week. So. But, defense played great, man. The defense has been maligned the last couple of weeks, especially, and came up and really stepped up this week when we needed them.
Overall, the crowd was pretty good too, Mike. It was kind of a late arriving crowd, but obviously for a UCF team coming off of back-to-back losses, really 3 weeks to your point, with the bye week in between since we'd won a game. The crowd was pretty good, pretty into it throughout the game. There was a couple of sections in the student area that maybe were a little light, but overall crowd was good. Weather was fantastic. We were up on the top there, a nice breeze up there. Overall, a good game day experience. The crowd was loud when they need to be loud, and definitely was loud in that last drive. So a good overall game day experience.
Yeah, very fun time. I wish I had more time to play around before the game, but we kind of got there. We got on campus at about 5:20 and just went straight into the stadium. Got to hang out with you, which was awesome. We don't get to do that too much. And hung out for the whole second half. We watched the first half from our seats. And then when I went up to the top, I felt the breeze up there. It felt like 10 degrees cooler up there from where my seat was. So we stuck up there for the whole second half, and it was a fun time. The kids got to play around. Really enjoyed Saturday night.
It was a good one, Mike. One thing we did not enjoy, and news came out today, injuries. I don't even know that I can put into words just how unbelievable this injury bug has been for UCF. Gus Malzahn announced today that Kalia Davis, who went out, I think it was in the second quarter, Mike, is going to be lost for the season. I think presumed to be a knee injury of some sort. He will have surgery soon. So Kalia Davis, who we were really excited to get back, had played pretty well throughout the entire year so far, on a defensive line that's already missing one starter in Ricky Barber. Kalia Davis down and now out for the year. Mike, this is just unbelievable, the amount of starters, the amount of guys around. We'll get to that in a second, but Kalia Davis, man, your heart just breaks for this kid.
The hits just keep on coming. Man, our best players, it's not like we're losing fringe guys or guys that come in every once in a while. We are losing our best players on offense and now defense. When he got hurt, I turned to my cousin and said, that's our best defensive player. And that's what he's been so far through the first 4 or 5 games of this year. And to lose him now and right before Cincinnati, that really is a kick in the you-know-what. And I hate it for this kid who sat out all of last year and now came back this year and was looking to be a big-time part of this defense, and he was. And now to lose him for the rest of the year really sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for us as fans. It sucks for the team. You hate to see it. That's one thing you don't want to ever see is injuries like this that are going to ruin somebody's season, maybe his career.
Well, let's do the math one more time for those who aren't, who don't want to face the music here. Unfortunately, we were without our starting quarterback. We are technically, if you think about it, Mike, we really are without our top 2 running backs. If you consider R.J. Harvey, who we think was going to be a player this year that we'd see a lot of, he's out. Obviously, Isaiah Bowser out. We are without our top wide receiver, Jalen J. Flash Robinson. Our starting center, Matt Lee, missed a Louisville game. So he was already out of game. On the defensive side, Ricky Barber, transfer defensive tackle. He hasn't been seen since Louisville, and nobody really knows what his deal is. Obviously now Kalia Davis goes down. Tatum Bethune was out against Navy with a concussion. Corey Thornton was out against Navy with a concussion. And Jarvis Ware, who shouldn't forget, he was a kid who came in from Missouri. It's going to be unknown what his status was going to be. Mike, was he a starter? Was he not? But obviously he had a role to play. So all of those players are not playing for UCF. I just can't even. That's literally, to your point, that's probably like our top 5 to 6 players are in that list of people I just named.
Yep, and you didn't even include 2 guys that transferred out. Bentavious Thompson, who we thought was going to be one of the starting running backs to start the year, and now Eric Gilliard, who is one of our better linebackers, is now out. So you didn't see this coming. You can never prepare for something like this before the season. And you expect a couple injuries per year. Every team goes through it. But to have this many key players, I can never remember a season where this has happened to us.
And really, it's next man up mentality, right? And we're seeing some of these guys get some more playing time. Like Mikey Keene obviously stepped in for a second straight start. Again, wasn't he wasn't certainly going to win the Heisman based on his performance against ECU, but I think he made enough plays to put UCF in position to win. Obviously, the defense stepped up. Anthony Montalvo got a lot of the snaps now back at defensive tackle, his natural position. He played really well. We saw Cam Good play really well. He had a forced fumble again in this game, and really, the secondary as well. I mean, Corey Thornton played a little bit, but Brandon Adams, a true freshman, he got the start on that one side of the field. Mike, I think it was the right side, and he played actually pretty well too. And the linebackers, obviously you mentioned Gilliard, but Bethune was back. JJB was obviously there, and Bryson Armstrong. And so we're seeing some guys step up, Mike, and that's kind of really what this thing is going to have to be about at this point is next man up. And now we have to find next man up for Kalia Davis. Odds are it's probably somewhere in the Montalvo, Cam Good, Keenan Hester, and the Noah Hancock group. Keenan Hester played really well as well, Mike. He actually had 3 tackles and a sack. So he played well in some of his duty. So I assume he'll get a bunch more snaps as well. But it's next man up mentality at this point for UCF. It's like a mash unit around those parts.
That's right. And I think we're forgetting an unsung hero so far this season. Joshua Selescar has had a very nice season. He leads the team in sacks now. He had another one the other night. Recovered the fumble early in the game when ECU was driving right down our throats. Yep. So he's stepping up when we need him. And that's all it's going to be is guys that are going to get experience maybe that we weren't expecting to see as much of, or are going to have to step in now and fill this void left by these guys getting hurt. It's bad that it's happening, but in the long run, may be good to have these guys get some experience now. So let's see what happens now. These next couple of weeks, we're really going to be tested now this week. Yeah, being shorthanded.
Now we got to figure out who our best 4 defensive linemen are, though, right? Because on the defensive end side, you have Traylon Morris-Brash, who played more snaps this game. We have Big Cat Bryan, of course, who's probably pretty entrenched on that line. You mentioned Selescar, and then Landon Woodson played as well, Mike. So a bunch of different guys. Who's the top 4 going to be? I mean, I don't know. I assume Montalvo and Cam Good probably plug up the middle. But can we see Selescar rotate inside? Does he have the size or strength for that? Does Big Cat get some run on the inside? T-Will's going to have to get creative now with that front 4, especially being down. And if we get Ricky Barber back, he's like an unknown, Mike. I think, with Isaiah Bowser, if you watched Our Time, he told the cameras essentially it's not a season-ending injury, but then he had a leg brace on that looked like he borrowed it from the Mandalorian. So I don't know what to take of that. Jay Flash, I think there's rumors it's a meniscus, which if that's the case is sometimes a 4-6 ballpark week injury. So maybe he comes back by the end of the year. But I don't think anybody has any idea what the heck is going on with Ricky Barber. Mum is the word there, and don't know if that's good news or bad news, but obviously week by week we go through and Malzahn says, hey, I'm gonna update you guys later in the week, and we never get that update and these guys haven't been playing. So it's definitely been it's just been I don't even know how to phrase. If you had told me at the beginning of the year our top 6 guys essentially would be out for injury, I don't even know what I would have done to you.
No, we would have figured that the season was over. We would have lost. We probably figured we would have lost this past game too. The Ricky Barber thing, if he was out for the year, I feel like they would have told us that. They told us that just now with Kalia Davis. Yeah. With the Dylan Gabriel injury, that we know that it's about 6 to 8 weeks, and we have no timetable with Ricky Barber, which is weird. Or maybe they thought he may be able to come back this past week and he just couldn't. I have no idea. Maybe he's going to be ready for Cincinnati. Maybe he's out for the year and they're not telling us. But that I don't know why they would do that. Why wouldn't they just tell us? So I don't know, man. I don't know. But we're going to have to piece it together now with whatever we got left, and hopefully. We say this every week. We can't afford anymore. We cannot have any more key guys. But you know what? I didn't hallucinate this. I was getting a beer in the cabana before the game, and they were announcing the starting lineups on the Jumbotron. Yeah. And they said Isaiah Bowser, starting running back. And I said, what? And I did a double take. I was like, well, maybe they just use the same videos all the time. And then it said starting quarterback Mikey Keene. I was like, well, no, because then it would have said Dylan Gabriel. So I was like, oh, maybe Bowser's going to play in this game, and nothing. No Bowser. Obviously, we saw him on the Our Time video, and it doesn't look like he's close. Maybe, can we hope for this week? It'd be nice. That'd be a big pickup, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I guess if you want to say that Gus is playing the gamesmanship card and has been saving these guys for Cincinnati, I mean, that it shows some stones if that's what he was doing, because obviously came back to bite us against Navy. And so maybe he just wanted to give these guys an extra week because he's trying to get a full complement of guys ready. I guess that's not implausible that would be the case. Maybe with Ricky Barber per se. But again, Bowser, I mean, you saw that leg brace, right? I mean, the Night of Lorraine was jealous of that thing because there was so much armor around his leg. So I guess it's possible Gus is playing the sort of the con game, the long game. But that's some serious gamesmanship from Gus. I just love that he says that every press conference on Monday. I can't guys a week to week. I'll let you guys know on Thursday. He doesn't meet the media on Thursday. He just does his coach's show, and so I guess that's when he's gonna let us know on that Thursday. I guess that's when we get that info. But it seems like those guys are week to week. Their medical reports are still next to Trey Nixon's from last year that Josh Heupel must have buried in one of his desk drawers.
Yeah. Once we get into the week, I don't care if he tells us because I don't care if he tells the other team. But we need some good news on this front, man. It's been too much this year. We need some guys to start coming back now.
Yeah.
Especially now for this next week and then going forward. I mean, the schedule is not that easy. After this, we have a short week when we play Memphis on a Friday night. So we need these guys in the next couple of weeks.
We sure do. Well, it's good to get some home cooking back for the Knights back in the Bass Ass, that 2016 victory, Mike. Let's just dive right into the categories. So if you're new to the proceedings each week, Mike and I go through what we essentially think are the good, the bad, and the ugly, but we frame them more in terms of old UCF bowl games. We have two categories that are more positive than others, Peach and Liberty, and then our two negative categories, which are Hawaii and Boca, Mike. So we each pick three things and tell you what we thought about it. I'm going to let you start first. What is the first thing you pick?
All right. It feels good to have to give out a Peach again.
Wow, yeah, you sound excited. I feel good for you right now.
Yeah.
Are you wearing a just real quick? Nice. Are you wearing a tank top?
If you want me to,
because it feels like this is tank top Mike right here. That's all I'm saying, dude.
I'm in the garage. I got no shirt on. Right
show's over.
I've got some shorts on, so there's that. But all right, Peach, and you touched on it already this earlier in the show. The defense, finally, the defense. This is the defense we've been waiting for. Much maligned the last couple of weeks. Answered what we really needed them to do this week. We were scared, or at least I was scared, of this Keaton Mitchell kid, and he had been breaking long runs after long runs the last few weeks. We shut this guy down, basically. Held him to 67 yards. His longest run was a 17-yarder. That was huge in this game. The ECU offense altogether has been hot the last 3 weeks, scoring over 30 points, just lighting up the scoreboard. What did they score the week before? In the 50s or something. And we held them to one touchdown, 16 total points. Nobody saw that coming. We forced a few turnovers. We got that fumble on that opening drive, which was huge. We got an interception right before the half. Jean-Baptiste coming up big because if these guys go down the field there, we may be in trouble. 4 sacks, what we've been asking for all year. Big Cat, Selescar, Hester, Kalia Davis, all pitching in with sacks. 6 tackles for loss, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. Tatum Bethune was all over the field. He had 11 solo tackles, 17 total on his own. We forced 5 punts. Remember last week how pissed off I was when we only forced Navy into 1 punt? Well, it's good to see the other team having to bring their punter out this week. And the only bad thing, and maybe it's just me being picky, but we gave up a couple 3rd and longs early in the game, the very first drive of the game. We come out on the very first play, rock the guy on a no gain, right? Or maybe even a loss. Second play, same thing. It's 3rd and long, and boom, right over the middle for like 17 yards. That was a backbreaker. We did it a couple times, but really, if you look at the numbers, I think they were about 4 for 14 on 3rd down. So that got better as the game went on. This was the best performance of the season for the defense. Is it because we played a more traditional offense? We didn't have the option like we had against Navy. We didn't have a running quarterback like we did against Louisville. Maybe this suits us better. We're going to find out next week when we go up against Ritter. But good to see the defense back. All the questions about T. Will last week, everybody's calling for his head. The defense really turned things around this week. I was happy to see that.
Yeah, a couple of unsung heroes I mentioned earlier. Again, if you're on UCFsports.com, Brandon does a great job. He gives you the Pro Football Focus scoring for each game, Mike. And And Anthony Montalvo, much maligned Anthony Montalvo, had the highest grade out of anybody on the defense. And he switched more back to his natural defensive tackle position. Obviously, he was playing on DN for a while. I think that was to cover up for Trayvon Morris-Brash being out for a period of time. So good to see Montalvo kind of get back in the swing of things. And, Pro Football Focus graded him out pretty well. He had 5 tackles, and he also had a forced fumble. I thought he played really well. And you mentioned the 2 linebackers. I mean, there was a lot of talk this week about Eric Gilliard leaving and what's going to happen. Well, all Tatum Bethune does is rack up 17 tackles, and JJB with a fantastic interception that really was a good timing one too, because we had just gotten that penalty on roughing the kicker. And so they were trying to drive back down, and JJB shut the door on that. So overall, the defense, they definitely stepped up. Like, here's the thing I love the most, man. It's so tough because it's so frustrating. You see what happens against Navy. And we're out there, we're all shaking our heads, we're scratching, or we're like, what the hell is going on? Why are we not able to stop this? Yeah, to your point, everyone's kind of figuring out what's T. Will's deal. Is he, does he got this figured out? Is this, is this over his head? Is this, just a new DC? And you see this game, and sure as heck, Mike, these guys are on the sidelines, jumping up and down. He's hugging guys. I mean, they're having like real conversations. You can tell that he and those defensive players are super close. There's a lot of love and respect there. And so he's got those guys' attention. Those guys want to play for him, and that's what makes it even more frustrating, I guess, when it doesn't work out. But it's just so cool to see after a big play to see T. Will jumping up and down, running down the sidelines, grabbing somebody by the helmet, and just yelling in their face mask about how proud he was of them, what they did. Just an infectious thing, and it's awesome to see that when that defense is clicking, man. That's a lot of fun, man. Because that no disrespect to Randy Shannon and the staff from some previous years, but you didn't see that before. You didn't see a lot of that camaraderie, and to see those guys going after T. Will, hugging him, and him hugging on those guys and running up and down and jumping and all that stuff, man. It's a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, there was a cool video of him and I think it was Tatum Bethune after the game, where he had a hell of a game. And maybe didn't get the fumbles or the interceptions, but he was all over the field. And him and T. Will hugging it out there at the end. We haven't seen a defensive performance like this in a while. I mean, last year, we know the struggles we had on defense. This year, even in the 2 wins, the Boise game was a little shaky there in the first half. And even Bethune, people were questioning them going up and down the field on us a little bit. So this was the best one by far this year. And go back to last year, the BYU game, the end of that season where we lost half the defense because of the incident there late night on campus. So good to see the defense back, man. It's been a while for the defense. Glad these guys got this straightened out for this week. Now let's keep it going.
All right, well, let's keep this theme going. I love this positivity, Mike. This is the positive Sons of UCF show right now. I'm going to go with a peach as well. And I guess we should stay on the admitting we may have been wrong tour here. Mike, I'm going to give my peach out to Mr. Daniel Obarski. That's right. That's right. If anybody around here has had some jokes at Daniel Obarski's expense, it's certainly been me. But I can't deny that even though he didn't get a lot of work early in the season, Mike, he single-handedly helped us keep us in this game, and he was the offense. He was the scoring in the first half with that late that field goal that should have been late first quarter, the first thing in the second quarter, and then he has another field goal down the end, 2 for 2 this past week. Obviously, he hit a big one last week as well. I hate to say this out loud though, Mike, because am I going to jinx it if I say this out loud?
Yeah, maybe, but go ahead.
The kickoffs are all in bounds. I mean, he every kickoff is pretty much a touchback. The only kickoff that wasn't a touchback, I think, was that last one. And I think he did that on purpose to try to kill some clock. At least I hope that's what his plan was. But I mean, he's got a strong leg, Mike. He seems like he's more confident. Again, when we needed him, this was a game when we needed scoring in the first half, and he was the only one to provide it. He had a big kick in that second half, a 40-yarder. And again, no issues, no problems there. Extra points have been solid all season long, minus that one block, which I don't know if you really blame on him. But I got to hand it to Mr. Obarski, D-O-B, as I'm going to start calling him now. He stepped in, Mike. He stepped up. We needed the kicking game to be strong. We said this all off season. How's the special teams going to work? How's the kicking game going to work? Well, again, these aren't necessarily the most pressure-packed moments of all time. But he's been solid, and I think we were all scratching our heads wondering what was going to happen. Right now, at least, you have to feel good that you've got Obarski, who appears to be doing just what we need him to do from the kicking spot.
Yeah, that kick at the end of the game there, that wasn't a game winner, but that was a pressure kick. Yeah. We're down 6. If he misses that, ECU goes and scores or kicks a field goal, the game's over. When he hits it, that keeps it within reach. That was a big kick, and that was not an easy one. No. That was 40 yards. that was a big time kick. We needed that one at the time. So good for him. I'm glad to see his confidence building now. We may be seeing maybe him turning the corner here.
Yeah.
He got a lot of crap from us and from everybody, really, because of the Memphis missed kick last year, the out-of-bounds kickoffs for the last 2 years. The kid's been solid all year. He's made every kick. He had the one extra point blocked last week against Navy. Other than that, he's been perfect. He's done everything we've asked from him. We got to keep this up. Now is not the time to ruin this. So hopefully you didn't jinx him.
I said it. I know.
But yeah, he's been good, man. He's been very good. Nothing else we can ask out of this kid. I'm very happy for him too. And I think now that the confidence is growing, maybe he can put all that other crap behind him and really, he's got time. He's got time to have a really good career here. He's got time to have a moment. This could be the week. I mean, if we hang in there and he comes in and nails a kick to beat the number 3 team in the country, he goes from being a GOAT last year to being Javier Borleghi to being one of the, Franco Grillo, one of the biggest kicks in school history if he hits one this week or if he has a big kick coming up in his bones somewhere down the line this season. I hope he can do it.
Well, it also, you mentioned this, and I should have brought this up. It also must speak to how Gus feels about it, because you're absolutely right. I mean, we are down 16-10. We have the ball. It's late in that fourth quarter, about 5 minutes to go, and there was some opportunity there. I think a lot of fans were hoping Gus would go for it on that spot. We were on our side of the field. Obviously, I think a lot of people thought maybe Gus would go for it. When Obarski trotted out, there were a lot of people booing. Obviously, you were standing next to me. I think you were in the camp that it was the right call to take the points now and play some defense. But a lot of people were booing and basically wanting Gus to go for that at that point. But it shows you the confidence he must have in Obarski, because that's a 40-yarder. And if he doesn't think Obarski can hit that, he doesn't put him in there, right? He doesn't take that chance. So, I mean, he must have in his mind known that's an automatic 3. My defense can go back out, get a stop, we'll come back down and win the game. So it's a long way from that video in the beginning of preseason camp where he basically told them, you're going to make me go for it on every fourth down. So we went from that to whatever, 5 games later, he's relying on him to put 3 on the board, Mike. So Gus must also now at least start to have some of that trust and that faith in Obarski.
Yeah, I'm glad Gus has showed a couple times now. He did it in the Boise game too, where he's not going to listen to the fans, and he's making the right calls. That's the proper football call. There was still plenty of time. We still had our timeouts. There was about 5 minutes to go in the game. You got to take the points there. I know some fans by that time, it's the fourth quarter. They're drunk. They want to score, go for a touchdown all the time. That's the new way of thinking is, you got to go for the 7, blah, blah, blah. But no, Gus did the right thing there. Took the 3, kept us in the game, extended the game, because even then, if you hold ECU to a field goal, you're still got a chance to win the game. If they score a touchdown, then you're in big trouble. But the defense has been playing good all night. They had only allowed 1 touchdown. You got to put it back in their hands for a drive, and they answered the call too.
All right, so 2 peaches off the top, Mike. This feels good. There's smiles going on. Everyone feels good. Let's see if we can keep this positivity train rolling. What's your next category?
All right, I got a Liberty.
Okay.
Liberty.
All right.
Still very good. Still good stuff here. I got Andrew Osteen.
Oh,
on the punt team.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're making up for all stuff last week.
All right.
The biggest play of that game last week.
Sons of UCF apology tour has begun. All right, here we go.
The punt block that was scored, a touchdown for Navy. He rebounded nicely. That's a big play. And to come back the very next week, the kid had 6 punts this week, averaged 41.2 yards. He hit one for 50 yards. That was a long one. He put 2 inside the 20. This game, the field position in this game was huge. This is a field position game. This is old school Georgia O'Leary, the hidden yardage, all that stuff. That was a big part of this game, and Osteen did very well. Not only did he put him inside the 20, he hit a long one. ECU only was able to attempt 1 return, and they got -2 yards on that return. All the other ones, they had to fair catch them, 5 fair catches. The only reason this is a Liberty is because we had to punt 6 times. That's on the offense. But this kid, when he came in, he did what he had to do. This is, obviously the better games is when we don't have to use Osteen at all. But when we had to use him this week, he did well. He put last week behind him, man. And that, hopefully, that one play last week was just an anomaly. Because remember, going into the Navy game, I said, I thought he was doing a good job. I thought, they had up to that point hadn't had anything blocked. We haven't given up any long returns. The punt team altogether did a very good job getting down there, forcing those fair catches, and then making that one stop for -2 yards on the one return. Give these guys some credit, man. This was a big part of this game. You don't think about punts, playing a big factor, but they really do, man. They can change a game for the good or for the bad. And good job out of Osteen and those guys to do what they had to do to keep us in this game when we needed them.
Well, I didn't know we would be your home for UCF special teams, but here we are, Mike. Let's lean into it. I think he obviously bounced back. To your point, I don't want to have to punt 6 times if you're going to. Obviously, he played well. I think maybe being in front of the home crowd helps out. Malzahn said all last week that they were going to correct the issues. They're going to correct the issues. They're going to correct the issues. And so obviously we saw a clean operation on the punt game, which is huge, right? Because you kind of wonder at some point, is this like a second baseman who overthrows the first baseman, and does that start to get in your head after a while, and you're thinking about the rush coming, and are you going to start speeding up your process, and maybe that's when you shank one off your foot like you did last week. But to your point, he rebounded, he was solid. ECU's starting field position was the 29. That's not all on him, obviously. There are turnovers and other things that take place, and kickoffs, all that other stuff. But obviously he kept the field position battle in check. I still want to keep my eye on him. Like I'm not sold just yet. I'm going to keep my eye on him, but he definitely stepped up and played solid. But also give the punt coverage team some kudos as well for getting down there covering those kicks, and obviously making ECU have to go with the fair catches or just let the ball sail over. So overall, the special teams operation, which very, very poor last week, definitely has rebounded. I think it's worthy of a good Liberty call out, but I think our eyes must continue to stay glued to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, we don't want to see Osteen this much. He did a great job. Hopefully this week and going forward, you see him 1 or 2 plays a week is all we really want out of the guy. But, he did his job. And the special teams all around, Obarski, Osteen, guys that we got on last week for maybe even – you could say the reason why we lost last week's game against Navy was a big part because of special teams. This week is a big part in why we won.
All right, let me go to my second category, Mike. It's going to be a Liberty as well, and really not his fault, just because that's just the only – I don't know that we saw enough of him, but the mystery man himself, Mystery Mark Anthony Richards, who came in and obviously scored the game-winning touchdown. He was huge on that last drive, Mike. He was, essentially as we were kind of marching down towards the end zone, Mark Anthony Richards was the bell cow back. And the only reason this is a Liberty is because I don't know what the hell we're doing with Mark Anthony Richards. I'm super confused here because first quarter, he comes in, he rips off a 26-yard run, gets us all the way down to the ECU 15. That actually was the key play that set us up for that first Obarski field goal, which obviously came at the very beginning of the second quarter. Mike, then we didn't see him touch the ball again until the third quarter. He had 1 carry for 6 yards. Didn't touch the ball again until the fourth quarter, where he had 4 carries for 27 yards. It turned out to be the final 4 carries of essentially the offense, if you will. And those were 19 yards, 7, 0, and then the 1-yard touchdown run. All that in the final drive. Mike, he only had 6 carries for 58 yards and the 1 touchdown. He only played a total of 12 snaps overall. So really on 6 of those plays, half the plays he got the ball or in his hands. Pro Football Focus gave him a grade of 85. He actually had 1 catch for 12 yards as well. So, the kid made plays. The kid was electric. I liked how hard he was running, Mike. Maybe it's just because I'm used to seeing Johnny and Trillion, and they're more, shifty, elusive. But, he was going in for contact. He was looking to hit somebody on his way through. I know this kid came in with a lot of fanfare, a lot of stars next to his name. He obviously played sparingly at Auburn, but he had 1 big game, I think, where people, I think it was against Alabama, where he was the leading rusher. So we kind of knew the talent was there. We knew he had some injury stuff. I think, again, we weren't quite sure what that injury was. And all of a sudden we dust him off in the fourth quarter out of nowhere. And he comes up with the biggest play of the game. And, Mike, I would argue he had really the 2 biggest runs. That 26-yard run sets up that first field goal, and then that 19-yard run sets up the game-winning run. So Mark Anthony Richards, I don't know what this means going forward. How do we get this guy into the game more? How do we get him more snaps? He only had 12 snaps. Trillion Cole's had 16 snaps, and then Johnny Richardson had 40 snaps. There's got to be a way maybe to find Mark Anthony some more opportunities to touch the ball. I don't know if that comes from Johnny's numbers. I don't know if that comes from Trillion's numbers. Either way, I'm going to give him a liberty just because we didn't see that much of him, and I would have loved to have seen more. But the time he was there, Mike, he definitely made the most of it.
Yeah, that play in the first half was huge. and then we never saw him again, like you said, which was a little weird. I like that he's a bigger guy than Johnny Richardson and Trillian Coles. Both those guys, shorter, 5'7", 5'8" guys. Mark Anthony more 6'1", 215-pound bruising, but kind of like the Isaiah Bowser. Now that Bowser's out, I think he can fill that role. I think you need one bigger guy, one smaller guy. That kind of gives you a nice mix. So I like seeing him in there. Would have been nice to see him a little bit more, but he got the touches when it counted, and he put the ball in the end zone at the end of the game, which was nice to see. I like the way Gus managed there, too, at the end. I know a lot of people were panicking. We were running out of time. We had time. He put it in with 20 seconds. You don't want to leave East Carolina too much time either. We score with 45 seconds. That gives them way too much time to come down the field and score on their own. So I like the way we handled that. But good to see Mark Anthony, man. We've heard so much about this kid. The only reason I would think that maybe he hasn't been getting playing time, and this is just me speculating, I don't know, reckless speculation, is he not as good at picking up blitzes or anything? Because what other reason would he be for him not to play? This is a guy that Gus was familiar with, an Auburn guy that came over with him. So what was the reasoning for him not getting these touches? Is Gus not trust him for blocking purposes? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he's not getting time. Because when you give him the ball, he looks like he knows what he's doing with it. So maybe we'll see a little more with him this next couple of weeks.
It's just that head-scratching thing. And again, I'm not in the practice fields. I'm not in the meeting rooms. But I said this a few weeks ago in the Louisville game. It seems like Gus has a hard time, especially with the running backs right now with Bowser out, figuring out who has the hot hand. I mean, during Louisville, we saw Johnny Richardson all of a sudden become freaking Walter Payton towards the end of the game, and you wonder, why didn't this guy get the ball more? Navy, I don't know that we really figured all that out, but Johnny had some nice runs in the Navy game as well. Then all of a sudden, Mark Anthony comes out of nowhere in this one. So I don't know what the situation is. I don't know, to your point, Mike, maybe there is something schematically that Mark Anthony wasn't doing well. Heck, maybe Trillian Coles was dinged up because we didn't see a lot of Coles in that second half, Mike. It seemed it was really either Johnny Richardson or Mark Anthony Richards. Coles didn't really get a lot. He played a little bit in the third quarter, but I don't think, I'm looking at it right now, I don't see him with a touch in the fourth quarter. So, was he dinged up maybe? Did he have to come out for a second and that brought Mark Anthony in there? I don't really know. But maybe the secret to this, Mike, is obviously after the Boise game, we saw that Bowser was a big bruising running back, but also was shifty, was able to make cuts and make guys miss. Maybe we can't replace Bowser with one. Maybe it's a replacing him with two. Maybe it's a Johnny Richardson, change of pace, and it's Mark Anthony sort of ground and pound, and maybe that's the secret formula. No disrespect to Trillian Coles, but maybe it's the two-headed monster now starts to come in and take over. Because if we can get a running game going, particularly against Cincinnati, which I'll get to in a little bit, it could be huge, Mike. And either way, it's good to see Mystery Man Mark Anthony. I feel like we've heard so much about Mystery Mark, and we had no idea what to expect. But welcome to Night Nation, Mark, because you definitely put your stamp on a huge win for UCF.
Yeah, he played a big part in this game, which was good to see, and good to see him get in the end zone there to win the game for us. And maybe that builds confidence in him. I don't know why he's not playing as much with the injuries we've had with Bowser out. I think he complements Richardson well. So maybe we'll see that combination going forward.
All right, my friend. I'll let you take it away. By the way, if you're listening to this now, you already know this news, Mike. I'll break it to you now. John Gruden got fired.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, just now.
You're breaking it to me. Yeah. John Gruden?
John Gruden.
Aren't they 3-1, 3-2?
He sent some emails that weren't very nice and used some words that weren't very nice, and then they found more emails tonight that weren't even nicer, and now he's fired.
Oh wow, he got canceled. Is he getting canceled?
He's gonna get canceled. He's absolutely gonna get canceled.
I have no idea what these emails are about. I don't know.
They're not good. Yeah,
this is completely news to me.
They're not good. The happiest guy in the world right now is Urban Meyer because no one's talking about him anymore.
Wow, it's that bad. Huh?
That's bad. Yeah.
We'll have to Google some stuff after the show.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, back to the regular scheduled program. I got to throw something in bad. I've done the Peach, I've done the Liberty.
Yep.
Let's get back to reality here. The Boca. We got a Boca to hand out this week. It's the penalties.
Oh yeah.
And last year, the big problem we had with penalties seemed like we were cleaning it up a little bit better this week. This year, I think the Navy game we only had about 5 penalties. The first couple of games we did a lot better. This week, 8 penalties, 80 yards, and they were all over the place. I mean, offense, defense, special teams, everybody had a hand in this stuff. We had a holding call. Nate Craig Myers got called up for one. A false start with O'Keefe. That drives me nuts when a wide receiver has a false start.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. There's no excuse for that. We had a roughing the kicker, which I got to say was a pretty nice acting job by the kid. Maybe running into the kicker, but I guess they had to call it. Roughing the kicker. We had a personal foul on a punt return, which was just dumb. Instead of getting the ball at the 36-yard line, they backs us up to the 21-yard line. It was not anything ridiculous. A couple guys pushed each other. We pushed them. They pushed us back. Could have easily been offsetting. They decided to call it on us.
Yeah.
It was a 2nd and 1 where we had an illegal formation that turned into a 2nd and 6, which was then 2 incomplete passes and led to a punt. We opened the second half with a holding call on the kickoff. So we start with the ball at the 14-yard line, which then turns into an interception, which is horrible field position. The defense did a great job holding them to a field goal, but that's no good. Then we get a 3rd and 1 with an offsides, leads to a first down. On the very next play, they throw a touchdown, which we were offsides again, and then, of course, they declined it. But this is things we cannot do next week, especially against a team that's probably better than us. We cannot have these kind of penalties. Twice, I don't even know, these were not even penalties, but twice, our offensive line doesn't even move.
I was going to ask you that. What the hell?
Snapped the ball.
Does anybody know what that was? I was looking through Gus Malzahn's press conference after the game, but nobody asked him the question. He didn't address it again today in his Monday presser. What the hell was happening there? Did we think we had penalties and so we just kind of stood firm? Was that like some sort of a trick play? Any idea what the hell that was?
That's what I'm guessing is on those plays, it looked like the defense jumped offsides. Matt Lee snaps the ball, and the offensive line stands there like they're trying to get the call from the ref. Like, obviously, they was offsides. But they don't call anything. This is a great way to get Mikey Keene killed. I mean, you got the whole defense just coming after him, and the offensive line is just standing there. I don't think this is the way to go about it, guys. I mean, just play the play through, and if they call it, they call it. If they don't, we can't just be sitting there in our stances. Once it was weird. Twice it was like, obviously this is being coached to, hey, if they jump off sides, snap the ball and nobody else move. It's kind of like a catcher in baseball, like framing the pitch, trying to get the call from the ump. But we can't afford to do this. I mean, we're down to our backup quarterback. What's going to happen when Cincinnati, 5 guys come running after Mikey Keene and our whole offensive line is just sitting there? That's not going to be a good look if he gets hurt that way. So that's got to end. Play the play out. If they call it, they call it. If they don't, you just got to roll with it. So I did not like those. Those were not penalties, but it falls into this category of penalties. 8 for 80 yards, no good. That's got to get cleaned up for next week for sure.
Yeah, Trayvon Morris-Brash had a bad one. He had a roughing the passer. You mentioned that little skirmish on the sideline there after a punt return or something. I think it was a little pushing and shoving. I mean, both guys, were pushing each other. Probably could have gone either way. Mike, I was actually going to use this, but I hate to always blame something on this. But the officiating Saturday was weird. They kept putting more time on the clock back for ECU. There was at least 2 really bad pass interference calls that were not called. One of the very late ones, Gus was literally on the field yelling and screaming and pointing at guys. You had those 2 particular plays where it looked like there was some offsides and nothing took place. The officiating was kind of weird and awkward the entire evening. Obviously, it didn't end up costing anybody a game, and I'm sure it was that way for both sides. But overall, the officiating was awkward. But you're right. We've got to get these penalties under control. Some of these obviously are guys playing hard, but we always talk about this every year when we do penalty talk. It's these self-inflicted wounds. It's these these dead ball plays. If you're being aggressive and you're trying to make a play, you're holding a guy, it sucks. But I'm willing to live with some of that stuff. But some of these mental mistakes and some of these plays where you're just extracurricular activities, those are the things you got to kind of weed out. Luckily, UCF's been pretty good on penalties throughout the year, but definitely something you want to make sure that Gus and crew get corrected. Going into the Cincinnati game, we can't give them more free yardage, right, on either side. So we're going to have to make sure we get that cleaned up right away.
And the fact that referees can't be counted on, that we just said, a lot of times missed calls, is another reason why you can't just have the offensive line standing. You can't depend on the refs calling an offside and stopping the play. That I don't know what we're doing with that. I hope that's the last time we see that, because I think that's going to lead to an injury. Something bad's going to happen with that. A turnover. I mean, the offensive line doesn't move and they force a fumble or something, and there's no flag. Then what?
Yeah.
So stop with that crap.
Let's stop with it. All right. Well, I'll jump on the same plane you're on. I don't want to be Mr. Positive all the way through. So I'm also going to throw a Boca in here, Mike. And I didn't know really how to title this one. So I'm just going to call it receiver separation / route running / QB connection. I don't really know where to go with this, Mike, but again, Gus seemed to pull the plug on the passing game, and maybe that's something that ECU was giving them from a look perspective, but we seemed to pull the plug in the passing game, and there was not a ton of connection downfield between Mikey Keene and any of the receivers. Ryan O'Keefe led the way. He had 10 catches for 73 yards, Mike, but a yak of 62, and it seemed like we were running the same play for O'Keefe where he would sort of fake the jet sweep, come out the other side, and we throw him a little pass in the flat there and let him get in space and make some moves. Certainly a great idea with his speed and his agility, but we ran that a bunch of different times. I think after a while, ECU saw that one coming. But again, that was probably a 2 or 3 yard throw for Mikey Keene to make. But outside of that, Mike, not a whole lot of other guys had catches. Amari had 6 for 33, but he only averaged. I think he basically got tackled on the spot. He had 0 yak, and there was a few times where he just turned around and Mikey hit him in the numbers and he got tackled, which is fine. But it just seemed like we weren't on page, on point with the receiver routes, either the separation they're getting on DBs. And at some point, Gus essentially pulled the plug, Mike. Brandon Johnson, 1 catch for 10 yards. He had 6 targets, Mike. So 5 times the ball was in his direction, and it didn't happen to work out. But he played almost the entire game, 62 snaps on offense. Nate Craig Myers played 55 snaps. He only had 1 target the entire game. Titus came in for a little bit. Mike, he had 1 big catch for 16 yards. Outside of that, everything else was to running backs with either Trillion or Mark Anthony Richards or Johnny Richardson, who, by the way, had a beautiful touchdown in his hands on the sideline and dropped it. So I obviously Gus is trying to scheme up things that I think he assumes Mikey can handle. Not having your number 1 receiver and Jalen Robinson certainly hurts a little bit as well. But the receiving game, we've just been out of sync for the last couple of weeks, and looked like Gus really kind of pulled the plug in on this one. I know I do this every week, Mike, but Mikey Keene was 20 of 22 from behind the line of scrimmage or out to 9 yards. 10 to 19, only 4 passes. He had 7 throws of 20 yards or greater, but only connected on 1 of those. So, again, seems like Gus is really trying to figure out this passing thing. ECU definitely either took it away from us or was just kind of letting us have it we wanted. I don't know either way, but it did not pan out well, Mike. So I don't know if it's separation. I don't know if it's route running, but the receiver / quarterback connection right now is definitely not firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you're starting a true freshman. Obviously, they didn't get the whole offseason working with the ones. He's got to develop chemistry with these guys. We're missing our best receiver, Jalen Robinson. You got to expect that the passing game is not going to be as good as it should be. But there were a couple opportunities here where we kind of just missed. I know O'Keefe ended up having a very good game, but he hit him directly in the hands and the numbers early in this game, and he dropped it. I don't know if it was a 3rd down, but it would have been an easy 1st down, and he had room to run too. There was that one. There was one where Mikey just missed. I don't know who he was throwing it to, but it was a touchdown. He had him beat. It might have been O'Keefe again. Just had him beat. It would have been an easy touchdown. Completely overthrew him. That might have been the drive that ended up in a field goal. So there were missed opportunities up and down the field with the passing game. That's something it's going to get better. The more Mikey gets, the more he sees. Obviously, this is only his 2nd start ever, 1st ever start at home. Maybe trying to do a little bit too much on some of these deeper passes and not hitting them. So anyway, we escaped with the win, but yeah, this has to get better. This cannot continue the way it is. And the Brandon Johnson thing kind of took me by surprise because he caught that one pass. It was early in the game, and I figured Mikey's going to go to him a lot, and he tried, but couldn't get that connection going. Yeah. So let's see what Mikey does. We'll give him a pass here this week. At least he's hitting on these short passes. It could be worse. It could be him completely missing these swing passes. I mean, those are not the easiest. Even though they're 0 yards or 10 yards or behind the line of scrimmage, you're hitting a guy coming off a sweep in motion. They're not easy passes. I've seen quarterbacks completely overthrow or underthrow those and screw that up. So at least he's hitting that, and hopefully the deep passes will start hitting soon.
Yeah, again, I'm not even advocating for the Heupel stuff. I know people maybe assume I'm going that route. I'm not advocating for the the Chuck and Duck style of Heupel, but We're averaging 5.5, at least in ECU, by the way. It was 5.5 yards per attempt, 8.4 yards per completion. Those aren't terrible numbers, at least at 8.4 per completion, but you'd like it to be a little bit bigger. Tight ends, nowhere to be found. 0 catches from the tight ends, 0 targets from tight ends. Alec Collar only played 27 snaps. Hescock played 18, so clearly they went more to a 4-wide look throughout the game, Mike, which maybe is a better thing to do. I don't know if Gus has just lost faith in both of these guys. I know Hescock had a bad drop against Cincinnati, I think it was. Holler had a pretty bad drop against Navy, so maybe he's just losing. I'm sorry, Louisville, not Cincinnati. Maybe Gus is just losing faith in the tight end position. But listen, we can't. Going into Cincinnati this week, if we're not able to execute that part of the game, that phase of the game with that defense, I mean, they're just going to feast on us, right? If there's no threat that we're ever going to do anything down the field, I mean, Cincinnati's way too talented on the edge and both the secondary. They have way too many guys up front that are solid. If they know for a fact that we can't execute that part of the game plan, it could certainly be a problem. So I'm curious to see how it shakes out. I'm curious to see if Gus can figure out a way to dial something up to at least get some things freed. And we, sometimes to your point, Mike, it's also about connection. I remember all the time in 2018, you and I talked about, it seemed like Mackenzie Milton and Trey Nixon could just never get on the same page. It was always like a yard too, a yard too long, or an inch too high, whatever it was. And maybe that's the same thing with Mikey. But if we can't have a solid passing attack, and if Cincinnati can just pin their ears back and know that we're not doing that, that's certainly going to make it a much tougher game on Saturday.
Yeah, this is going to be the best defense we've faced all year. They've got some very good cornerbacks. They've got guys that can create pressure. It's going to be a big test for Mikey. I'm glad he's got a couple starts under his belt, but I don't know how Gus is going to attack this. The running game is going to be huge in this one.
Yeah. Either way, again, we put a W in the W column. 2016 win over ECU. UCF now 3-2, and we were going to face Cincinnati next week, high noon at Cincinnati on ABC. We'll get to that in a little bit, Mike. But let's take a quick pause here. When we come back, we will dive right into some observations, and then we will give you some info, some insight on what we need to see happen if we want to beat Cincinnati. Don't go anywhere. We are the Sons of UCF.
This is UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn. You should listen to the Sons of UCF like your hair is on fire. Go Knights and charge on.
Now let's wrap up the last of the ECU conversation, Mike. Let's have a little fun here. UCF observations time. Obviously, a lot of things happen at a game. Sometimes it's small, incidental. It's all kinds of weird stuff. So what better place to stop and have a little fun at what goes on throughout the game, Mike? We call these our UCF observations. Funny, witty, sometimes silly things that we observe throughout. So let's kick off. Why don't you give us your first observation?
No tailgating before this game for me. That's un-American. It was a weird way to do the football game. It's been a while, probably since I was like a kid. You just go straight to the game. No tailgating. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's what I had to do. I still made it to the game, so that was cool.
Yeah. I bounced around a little bit. I didn't get a full tailgate experience. Stopped by to say hello to JC Morning and Miles for his birthday party. I ended up at night walk for a little bit. Then the kids want to walk around, so didn't get a lot of tailgate in. But overall, at least if you tell me I don't have to tailgate, but I get a W, I think I might take that trade.
Yeah, I mean, college for me, I love it because of the pageantry and like you did the night walk. You see the teams coming. It's cooler tailgating than just an NFL game. We're just sitting in the parking lot for 3 hours, especially being on campus. Maybe do a bookstore run, this and that. There's a lot more things to do, and I mean, I wasn't just not able to do it this week, so next time.
All right, here we go, Mike. Taylor Snead, New England Patriots, collision course. I feel like ECU's had a Snead on their roster for at least the last 9 years. I don't know.
There's always a guy where you feel like you see him all the time. That just means he's been making an impact since a freshman. And he was a pretty good little player. Yeah. I think he led them in receptions and yards.
Mac Jones is going to love him next year. That's for sure.
He's the new Wes Welker / Edelman kind of guy. We're just saying that because he's white and he's small, right?
Yes.
Only 3 points in the first half. Heupel scored 38 points in the first half this week. Just saying.
Like for a while there, I thought we were going to have to start a GoFundMe for ECU punter John Young, but I'm glad to see he made a miraculous comeback. He survived and he played the rest of the game. John Young, I thought we were going thoughts and prayers, but I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, he did a very good acting job.
It was a fantastic act. Yeah. He laid there for a little bit. Yeah, walked it off. It was great.
Yeah. I've heard this in White Men Can't Jump, and this is very true. I rather look bad and win than look good and lose. And that's what we did on Saturday. We didn't look great, but I will take the win every single time. I'd rather that than score 45 points and lose, or whatever it was in Memphis, 50-49, right? Look good and lose. Give me a look bad and win.
Oh, wow. What man can't jump?
Billy Hoyle.
Yeah. No, he's absolutely right. Mike, I don't know if you saw this former UCF kicker, Matt Wright, now kicking for the Jaguars. He missed an extra point and a field goal, which probably, heady play by Matt Wright. Get off that sinking Urban Meyer ship while you can. Heady play by Matt Wright.
Who's trying to get out of town faster, him or Urban?
Well, again, Urban just got a reprieve. That sound you hear right now is Urban Meyer sending a fruit basket to John Gruden, because no one's going to be talking about Urban Meyer right now for at least a couple of weeks.
Oh, man. It's always entertaining. There's always something going on in the National Football League.
Yeah.
The Uber prices after a game are criminal. Something's got to be done about this. Dude, it was ridiculous. I know I'm staying a little bit further away from campus. I'm not staying right next to the school like I normally do. But the prices these people were trying to charge me, man, I can't stand for it.
Oh. All right, well, sit down then. Okay. Mike, here's an important story, one underreported, I think, that I'm sad to share, is UCFsports.com, Brandon Helwig. He had a streak going, Mike, since 1997. He had been to every UCF home game, a streak that he says is 143 consecutive games. Unfortunately, Brandon was under the weather and did not make the game against ECU. So that streak is snapped, Mike, which, you know what that means? It's time for my top 5 list. The top 5 streaks in all sports. Are you ready for this top 5 streaks list?
Yeah, I didn't know Brandon didn't go to the game. That's a bummer.
Brandon did not make it. He was feeling ill. It's top 5 streaks. Ready? Here you go. Number 5.
5 streaks. Go ahead.
All right. UConn women's basketball. They once won 111 straight games.
Wow.
That's a lot of games.
Impressive.
That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
All right.
How many seasons is that? Like 5 seasons? 4 seasons?
Yeah, it's about 4 to 5 seasons. Yeah. I think UCF was in a few of those losses as well. Mike, number 4, Cal Ripken, 26-32 games starts. The streak snapped when he decided to not play in 1998. Ryan Miner, former Oklahoma quarterback, actually took over for him in that game. Cal Ripken, the Iron Man, streak snapped, but 26-32 consecutive games played.
Yeah, I remember when he broke Lou Gehrig's record. That was a big deal back then. In 1996, it happened.
Yeah.
I think it was my aunt's birthday. It was like September 6th.
September 7th, it actually was, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We were celebrating it. Maybe that's what it was. But yeah, no, that's a good one. All right, go ahead.
Number 3, Joe DiMaggio, 56-game hitting streak, Mike. I'm not sure that's going to get broken any time in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I mean, this should probably be number 1. I don't know what the other 2 you got, but
it's
Joe D.
Yeah.
The Yankee Clipper, 56 in a row. People have not even really that come close. The next closest is what? Pete Rose with 44 or something, the National League record?
That's correct, yep.
So, yeah, that's a tough one, man. And the way things are today, the way pressure builds and then everybody be talking about it, I can't remember the last time somebody went over 30 games with a hit streak.
Yeah, who knows anymore. Number 2, Mike. Wade Boggs, 64 beers on a cross-country flight. An impressive streak, 64 beers on a 10-hour flight.
Is that a streak or is that just one really?
Can you do it? Can you do it? Well, that's a streak. It's a streak. It's my top 5. I get to tell you the streak. That's a streak.
I can't hit for 56 games in a row either.
Yeah.
That was actually.
What do you have a better chance of doing? Hitting 56 or drinking 64?
64, dude. I mean, we're not talking IPAs, obviously.
I believe it was Miller Lights. If the story now there's some concern if the story's accurate or not. No one really knows for sure. Wade's played it up a little bit, but I believe there were Miller Lights in what I read.
64 Miller Lights. I mean, obviously that's a lot lighter. Yeah, I can put away a lot more of those. but I don't think I can get 64. Maybe if I was really trying for like a record.
Yeah.
How long do I have? He did it in one flight. How long was his flight?
Apparently, it was
5, 6 hours?
It was a 10-hour cross country flight.
10 hours. I could put away 20 plus.
Okay.
But 64, no.
Okay.
I don't think I could do that.
All right, fine. And the number one streak of all time, AC Green, 38 years celibate, Mike, before he finally got married. He was a Laker on the Showtime Lakers in Los Angeles, and AC Green somehow allegedly stayed celibate. That is the number one streak of all time, Mike. AC Green, 38 years.
Dude, I think there's people listening to this show that have probably gone longer than 38 years.
Wow.
In fact, if you are listening to the show, there's probably a decent chance.
Yeah.
I'd
ask you to name names, but I don't want to lose any fans, any friends around here. So let's just AC Green. There we go.
Yeah, but that's got to be a lot harder for him playing for the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers at that time. I don't know what he was doing. What is he?
I know what he was doing. That was not what you would have been doing if you were AC Green.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Well, I don't believe that for a second, by the way. All right. That's my top five. Top five streaks.
Well, I mean, the Tebow thing, actually, I wouldn't believe it either at the time. But my cousin, one of my other cousins, top 5 cousins, one of my cousins went to Florida at that time. She's a girl. I think she was in a sorority. One of her friends went on a date with Tebow. And she said she went over there and all they did was play like board games. And I mean, she wanted to do stuff. And he was not interested.
Nah.
So maybe I do believe that one. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well.
All right, where were we? All right, Burger U after a win is pretty fun actually.
Okay.
And it was nice, and this may be a new tradition for me, because as I was waiting the Uber prices to drop, I went to Burger U, hung out there. We ended up having some wings and some burgers. The Alabama game was on. They lost. That was nice. We didn't stay for the whole thing, but yeah, that might be a new thing, especially a game that doesn't end so late. I wanted to do it after the Boise game. When we passed by Burger U, they were shut down because it was like 2 a.m. at that time.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked going there. There was, there were people there, but it wasn't packed. We were able to walk right up, get a drink, get some food. This might be my new thing. Burger U after a win.
Gotcha. Speaking of drinking, Mike, we still can't get any White Claw in the cabana, huh? Just not one little White Claw. We can't get no White Claw selection, huh? That's it. We're doing none. That's fine.
They had some kind of seltzer.
I looked at it. It was some sort of guava, mango, pineapple situation. It wasn't good. Let me figure that out. I'm super bummed about all that. All right. Sorry. Go ahead. Your turn.
Talk to Timo.
I saw Timo, actually. Timo and his family were over near us a night walk. Very nice people. A lot of people walked over, took pictures. He seemed very accommodating. His daughters were super nice. The first family of UCF doing a good job.
All right. Did you get his number and give him a call about the White Claws?
I did not get his number, but you know what? I got a survey asking for feedback. They're going to get some feedback, all right.
There you go. All right. This week, the University of Florida beat Vanderbilt 42-0. Florida State wins against North Carolina. What happened to North Carolina? I thought they were supposed to be good. And UCF wins the Cows and Miami on a bye this week. They couldn't screw it up. So now the big three, Florida, Florida State, and UCF all win. The state of Florida is back. Baby.
Oh, boy.
Wow. The last few weeks, no Florida teams could buy a win. We all looked like crap, and now here we go. Everybody's a winner this week.
Everyone's a winner. All right. Mike, in a story, I feel like we already broke this one exclusively on the Sons of UCF live show a few weeks ago, but we have a new nugget. So Nugget 2.0 was introduced. I actually saw him or her walking around at the game. It was social media official today that Nugget 2.0 is now available, is now back in our lives. But I feel like we broke that story already. I don't know.
Yeah, we were on top of it. We had the inside tip weeks ago.
We had a question in the mailbag a while back, and I said I heard a rumor maybe this nugget won't be coming back, right? Which was me telling you that I knew a new nugget would be coming out at some point. I just didn't know when.
Mm-hmm. So what happened to the old nugget? Do we know that? I don't remember that conversation. Do you?
I was told something. As far as I understand, the old nugget's fine.
Glue factory.
More of a contractual situation, from what I understand. A holdout. It was a holdout, essentially. That's how I would describe it.
All right. We're on to Cincinnati.
I've been dying to say that for a while, too. It's been the first time we can actually do that. Mike, do you know what the S in the F in Scott Frost stand for?
The S and the F. Stupid.
Sad face.
That's not.
Sad face guy. Did you see his face after that game, Mike? I mean, I think he was in tears. His hands was in his head. Like, poor Scott Frost. Poor sad face. Oof.
Poor guy. I mean, the guy could have been a legend here. You would think, but who knows? He may have come on and taken the program in the tubes. Nobody was ever going to know.
Yeah.
But he couldn't. Imagine if he was still here and we were still, you're not going to say we're winning 50 games in a row, but, maybe he would have done better than Heupel and on a chance maybe for the playoffs. We're never going to know, but he took the money and ran. He went home. We all saw it coming. Oh, well, I don't feel bad for him.
Sad face.
With us moving to the Big 12 now with the Bearcats, may the joke 10 years from now be they were once number 3 for a week. Can that be it? Because now we know how much joy we've gotten out of the Cal thing. They were number 2 for a week. The Bearcats, they were number 3.
Let's hope that we'll scratch that record out for them, Mike. Good news this week, actually. I got a chance to meet Twitter Libby for the first time, Mike. We've been talking to Libby on social media. She's followed the live show. I finally got a chance to meet Twitter Libby for the first time. And actually, Mike, I cannot wait to meet her again for the next first time because she thought that I was Mike. It's a true story.
Josh doesn't watch the show very closely,
True
I
story.
guess.
Yeah, true story. Yeah. She asked Trace, which one of them is this? Is that Mike? I'm not sure that's more of an insult to. By the way, I did have a hat and glasses on, so perhaps, and I think I was bending into the cooler to get a beer at that point, so I could see maybe where there'd be confusion. But, she thought I may have been Mike. So I can't wait to meet her again for the next first time.
You weren't carrying any potato salad.
I did not. No,
you didn't have a tank top on.
No tank top, no potato salad. I had a hat on, or else she'd have seen your impressive head of lettuce up there. So I don't know what it was, but I can't wait to meet her again for the first time.
Maybe next week, or who knows when. All right, I took my kids after this on Sunday to Halloween Horror Nights. You know what's scarier than Halloween Horror Nights?
What's that, Mike?
The Uber prices after a football game. Dude, it was bad.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I waited it out.
Yeah.
I waited it out. I was like, there's no, just on principle, I'm not paying this. I'd rather spend the same amount of money if I go to Burger U, eat there, have drinks, and then the price goes down, right? I know I would have spent the same amount, maybe even more. Prices never went down. We were there for like an hour and a half. Still paid. Should I tell you how much?
I mean, at this point,
$150 freaking dollars to go from the stadium back to my hotel. Wow. Yeah, that's what.
Well, you had a lot. Did you have to get an XL? You had a lot of people with you.
Yeah, I had to get an XL. Yeah, so there were 5 of us.
Okay.
Yes. On the way from and we were not staying close. It was a 30-minute ride. We were staying over by Universal, but on the way to the stadium, it cost me $60. I said, all right, $60. But $150 on the way back, dude. Something's got to be done. Who do I talk to? My governor, my senator, Timo.
Yes.
What's got to be done here?
Yes, call Timo, get the Uber prices down, and get some White Claw in there. We will be, we'll be good, Mike. I thought it was actually pretty cool, UCF, on a day that we honored the Hall of Fame class. We honored 2 legendary players who played under George O'Leary. We broke out the old uniform, the old black and gold uniform. I thought it was really cool. We also broke out the old offense to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
3 yards in a cloud of dust.
That was great. It was a good touch by Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, it was nice. Every once in a while, it's good to have one of those. I know people don't like it, but yeah, a nice defensive struggle, field position game. I kind of enjoyed it. What happens if we beat Cincinnati this week? Where does that put us? You know where that puts us?
In the hunt, in the mix.
In the driver's seat. The driver's seat. We beat Cincinnati. That means we have the head-to-head on them. Yes, we each have a loss, but we have the tiebreaker. And if we win out the rest of the way, we're in, baby. We're in the championship game. So this week, we're still alive.
Wow.
We are still in it.
All right, Mike, I know we have 2 losses on the season, but you know where Gus Malzahn is undefeated?
In the post-game.
The post-game speech, Mike. The post-game locker room speech by Gus Malzahn. Every week he is undefeated. I am convinced The next time I need to fire an employee, I need to get like bad health news, I need Gus Malzahn there because he makes everything seem okay. Throws a couple booms. We're going to turn this thing around. I believe in you guys. I will say this. Gus is definitely winning the locker room post-game speech for sure.
Yeah, he is good at it. He is good at it. And he calls out guys when they need him. He called out the special teams and the defense this week. Even gave credit to the offense. Hey, you guys pulled through when we needed you at the end and got the score. So he's very good. And on the losses, I mean, he handled himself well there too.
Yeah.
Give him credit.
Post-game speech, undefeated.
If we lose to Cincinnati this week, you know where that puts us?
Not in the driver's seat.
Behind the 8 ball.
Ooh.
Behind the 8 ball.
Ah.
Not a good spot. If we lose this one, we've talked about it all year. Houston is in a good spot. They haven't lost a conference game yet. They have a big one with SMU. They could be in the driver's seat if they win this week. We would have to hope for them to lose 2 or maybe even 3 games. That we'd be in big trouble. We lose this one, the conference title aspirations may be out the window because of the Navy game.
Wow. All right, Mike. Cincinnati obviously coming up like you mentioned here. I'm going to admit it, Mike. Desmond Ridder is actually probably a decent quarterback. He's actually probably a pretty good quarterback. And he's got a veteran presence about it. He's been there a long time. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of wish we were playing somebody else. Maybe like John Ritter, former star of Three's Company, which, Mike, brings me to my top 5 80s sitcoms in honor of Desmond Ritter or John Ritter. My top 5 80s sitcoms. Are you ready?
Hold on.
Yeah.
First of all, it's Ritter with
that's fine.
T's.
That's fine.
Second of
Not
all,
on my personal record.
Three's Company was the 70s.
But it went in the 80s, too.
Like 81?
It bled into the 80s.
80?
It bled into the 80s.
All right, so we're going to do top 5.
Top 5 80s sitcoms. Here we go, Mike. Top 5. Are you ready for the list? Number 5, Different Strokes.
Good one.
Good one. Different Strokes.
Different
Yeah.
Strokes.
All
I'm a
right.
big fan. Okay. What you talking about, Willis?
We're talking about number 4, Growing Pains. Give me a little Mike Seaver. Yeah, you got to have a little Mike Seaver in there.
That's right. That was, I loved Growing Pains.
Yeah, it's a good one. Number 3, Three's Company. My favorite is the one where there's some sort of misunderstanding. That's my favorite episode of Three's Company.
It's always good when they go to hang out at the Regal Beagle.
Yeah, the Regal Beagle. With Jack's Bistro, right? It wasn't Jack's Bistro?
Who?
Wasn't the name of it? Wasn't he trying to open his own restaurant called Jack's Bistro? Do I have that wrong?
Oh, Jack's Bistro. Yeah. He was the chef.
Yeah.
But again,
Regal Beagle.
you're gonna make me Google it. What years was this show on? I gotta say it was 70s.
Okay. All right. Number 2, Charles in Charge. Who didn't love a good episode of Charles in Charge? You a fan? Scott Baio's crazy now, but back then, Scott Baio, Buddy Lembeck. You didn't like Buddy Lembeck?
Yes, I did. I like Charles in Charge. Okay. You know what? Three's Company, 77 to 84. Now I'm gonna get you on this. Charles in Charge wasn't early 90s? No?
That was late 80s. It bled into the 90s, though. Yeah, late 80s.
All right. No, I'm a fan of Charles in Charge.
Okay.
I don't know if it's top 5.
Well, that's why it's my top 5 list. Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll find something else. Taxi, what are you going to go with there? You got nothing there. All right, number 1. The number 1 top 80 sitcom of all times. I suspect you're going to hate this one, Mike, is Cheers.
Cheers.
Sam Malone. Mayday Sam Malone. He was a Red Sox pitcher. I know you don't like that about him, but Mayday Sam Malone. Cheers. Woody Harrelson, Coach, Norm, Cliff. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Confession, I've watched maybe an episode or 2 of Cheers.
It's good. You
Not too
should
much.
catch up on it, will you?
Yeah, I know. That's what was the biggest show, I think, for a long time. It was number 1 show.
Yeah, sure was.
The finale was like a big deal back then. But to be honest, I really never watched too much of it.
All right, well, that's the top 5 80 sitcoms, Mike. Your turn.
All right. The breeze at the top of the cabana is one of the best parts of cabana life, I gotta say.
It was.
I really enjoyed hanging up there. They cooled things down a big deal from our seats.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked pounding on that little bar they had there. I made a lot of noise with that, I think.
You sure did.
I think I single-handedly contributed to the win there.
You might have, yeah. No, I got dragged up there. My kid wanted to go up there because he wanted to stand. So we got up there, and that whole section on when we first got there was nobody there. So it was just us. He was jumping around and running and throwing stuff. And then we scored a field goal. And I was like, well, I can't leave. Now we scored. And so I just stood there the entire time. And the other kid came up and brought her friend with her. So they were up there a little bit. And then the wife finally came back up. And then all of a sudden I turn around and there's your happy ass in line for a beer. And I went over and threw something on your shoulder. And all of a sudden, we had the whole side to ourselves.
No, you know what you did? You sent me a text that said,
"Oh, that's right. I did.
I turned around. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you did.
Here.
Yeah.
And it was you. I said, oh, all right. I guess we're hanging out up here for the rest of the game.
Yeah, worked out well.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, I'll tell you this right now. I like we tried traditions. I like we do things. But the I Love You Baby song before the fourth quarter really goes better if we have a lead at that point.
Yeah, I turned to you at the same time.
Really didn't work out very well.
No, when you're down 13-10 and the offense is struggling, I don't love you as much.
No one does.
These are one of those things where maybe you're trying to force in a tradition. It was fun the first week, and the first week worked out perfect. It was right after they snapped the ball over the guy's head. Everybody's in a great mood. We had just come back from being down big. This is just Timo's favorite song. He's trying to push it on all of us. We'll see. I have a feeling they're going to play it out for the rest of the year, see how it works out, but I don't know how long-term this thing is.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Can we get some hot dogs in the top part of the cabana there? Because my kid wanted a hot dog. At halftime, the lines down there are too long, so I went to the top. I was like, don't worry, they got hot dogs up there. No hot dogs.
No, close.
In the upper part. I mean, they got beer. They got peanuts, and they've got popcorn or whatever. Just a few hot dogs would be nice. That's all. I'm not asking for the full pulled pork sandwich thing up there, but a nice little hot dog, maybe a burger, that'd be nice.
I'm with you. Yeah, a few more options would be fantastic. I'm not going to be that guy who complains, but you could probably squeeze a couple. Give me one of those big pretzels with the salt on it. Give me something up there.
Yeah, I'm just asking for a hot dog. I think that's the most basic of stadium foods.
Well, if I have your price tag, you dropped like $250 on Ubers, so you needed something a little bit cheaper, by the way, because I've heard those Uber prices are out of control.
Mm-hmm. They definitely are.
All right, I'm out of observations. What do you got?
Me too. I'm out also. So Don Williams can go to hell, and let's move on with the show.
All right, we are on to Cincinnati at this point, Mike. So we've been doing headlines. I think that's trying to run its course this week. So we thought we'd do something a little different. We're going to give you an actual, real, almost serious breakdown of UCF Cincinnati, the keys to the game plan, if you will. If Mike and I were in the meeting rooms right now talking to the guys, these are the things that we would say we have to do if we want to beat Cincinnati. Just so we're all on the same page, what we're facing, Cincinnati now ranked number 3 in the country. They are riding a 23-game winning streak at home, and they are 5-0 to date, obviously. And this is a 12 noon kickoff, ABC, so we'll be on the big channel early in the day. So get your drinking in early, friends. But it's going to be a barn burner, Mike. Obviously, UCF coming in 3-2. Cincinnati, I think I saw, was a 19-point favorite, if I have that right.
It's up to 21.
Up to 21. So a 3-touchdown favorite. So a lot of tough road ahead, Mike. So let's give them the game plan here. What's one thing? What's a key? What's an item that you think is going to be important as we play Cincinnati on Saturday?
I mentioned earlier the special teams and the penalties. We have to have a clean game. No turnovers. Limit the penalties as much as possible. We're playing, let's be honest, Cincinnati is a better team than us right now, especially with all the guys we have out. When you are the lesser team, you're the underdog, you're on the road, you cannot beat yourself. No self-inflicted penalties. Take care of the football. Respect the Duke. And no big penalties. Cincinnati's got some very good cornerbacks. That could be a problem for Mikey Keene. We saw what they did to Dylan a couple years ago. So if he can get through this game, no interceptions, and we hold on to the ball, that would go a long way for us to win this game.
Yes, obviously take care of the ball. Respect the Duke is a huge part of the game plan. Obviously in a road game particularly, you can't give away possessions. You can't give away the ball. Obviously, we don't know how many times you'll have a possession, so to give one away, particularly if it's going to be in a bad spot, is huge. So ball security is number one, Mike. Here's my first thing. We have got to stay out of anything, basically anything above 3rd and 3. 3rd and 4 and above is just not a territory that I think we are equipped to be able to handle, at least what we've seen so far. Against ECU, we were 5 of 15 on 3rd down. They went back and charted these. 4 of those 5, we actually the yardage distance was under 3. So on 4 of those 5 third downs, it was basically 3rd and 3 or shorter, and we converted all those. The other one was the back-to-back penalties, which got us a first down on that third down. Outside of that, everything else was over 4 yards on that particular game. So we have got to stay out of 3rd and 3. Cincinnati's defense, obviously, as you mentioned, is pretty stout. UCF is number 63 in the country on third down conversions at 40%. And on defense, Cincinnati is pretty good. They're ranked number 29. So something's got to give there. But we've got to get in third and manageables. We can't keep going 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Again, if our passing game is going to be as kind of anemic as it was and Gus is pulling the plug, that Cincinnati rush defense is going to pin their ears back, and we're going to have a hard time picking up 7, 8, 9 yards consistently. So we have got to have good execution on 1st and 2nd down. We've got to stay out of 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. If we can keep it in that 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 range, I think we got a shot, but we got to stay out of 3rd and longs.
Yeah, we got to treat them like Navy treated us, right? Take up 2, 3, 4 yards on 1st and 2nd down and keep yourself in 3rd and manageable. That is going to be a big part of this game for sure.
And third, especially if 3rd and long, we get predictable too, right? So we have to figure that out. You mentioned already Cincinnati; they have 8 interceptions on the year. They have 3 guys that have 2 apiece. So they have a pretty stout secondary. So if we get in the 3rd and obvious, and with a true freshman quarterback and a receiving core that's not on the same page, it could be a recipe for disaster. We need good, clean play calls on 1st and 2nd down. Let's get 3rd manageables.
Yeah, and that could lead to back to what I said, the turnovers, which is one way we're definitely going to lose if we turn the ball over. Number 2 for me, we got to contain Desmond Ridder. You know, 3rd downs, we can't let him just loose on 3rd downs. This is the game for Big Cat, Selescar, Morris Brash. They got to set the edge, contain him in there, and make him beat you with his arm. I mean, he's been good, I got to say, but he's not the most accurate with deep balls. You know, he can hit the ones over the middle. We know the trouble he can cause with the tight ends and stuff, but make him beat you with his arm, and just can't let him beat you on 3rd and 8 and let him run for 10 yards. That's the one thing we cannot let happen in this game. We get him back there, make him do it with his arm. Please. No more Ridder, no Ridder breaking free. That's going to drive me nuts more than anything if it happens. Yeah,
it's one of those deals where you sort of need that gap discipline. T. Will and what turned out to be a one-on-one exclusive with Trey Strelko talked about run fits and making sure that guys are in the right spots, the right gaps, because obviously he will pull the ball down. They have a good running back, Jerome Ford. So they certainly have to be disciplined there. And if we can get pressure, that would be fantastic and see if we can force Ridder into some mistakes. But that actually leads me into my second key of the game, Mike. And I know this is something you can't really plan for, but we need defensive points. We need a pick six. We need a scoop and score. Heck, I'll even take a special team sort of score. But we need to score outside of the offense. Obviously, we know our offense is struggling a little bit. We need somebody on that defense to step up and make a play. I'd love a nice pick six if I could get one. I'd love, again, a fumble, a scoop and score, something like that. If we can put points up on the board and outside of offense, that would be huge for this game. Cincinnati's defense, again, if you don't know, they're stout. They're number 2 in the country in scoring defense. Teams are only averaging 12 points a game against Cincinnati. So we're going to have to take advantage of the opportunity if we can make a special play. So if we can get a cornerback, a linebacker, a scoop and score, something like that, we have got to take advantage of that. We've got to figure out a way to potentially break through. And I'd love a nice little pick six. I'd love a forced turnover that gets us a touchdown. Again, we're gonna be up against a tough defense throughout the entire game. Cincinnati, they are number 30. They're 33 in the nation. They allow 116 rush yards a game, and they're number 19. They only allow 177 passing yards a game. That just goes to show you it's going to be tough sledding on the offense. If we can find 6 cheap points on defense or special teams, that would be absolutely huge. I know you can't really game plan for that per se, but Mike, a key to the game, if we can somehow come up with a points outside of the offense, would be fantastic for this game.
Yeah, this is exactly what happens with Navy against us. We're drawing up the game plan of exactly how Navy beat us.
Yeah.
They got the block punt for a touchdown. That's exactly what they needed. We have to do something like that. You're right. We cannot fall behind against these guys, down 2 scores. That would be a disaster. They're just going to pin their ears back against Mikey. That would be a bad thing. So if the defense can contribute, if we can get – this is the week maybe for a Johnny Richardson big kick return to open the game, or a big punt return somewhere in there, set us up for a score, that'd be great. We can. We've been waiting on one of those for a while.
Somebody has to make a special play. Somebody has to make a special play in this game. Ideally, that leads to a touchdown. That would be huge, I think, to hopefully get momentum swing in that direction. We're due. Hopefully, we haven't had any defensive touchdowns or special teams touchdowns this year, so we would be due. But someone's got to make a special play.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be nice to see. It's been forever since we've had one of these kick or punt returns for a touchdown. Even an interception return for a touchdown would be nice. And we know we've been killed by it in our 2 losses. The interception return that killed us against Louisville and the block punt for a touchdown. So we are owed one of these. For me, the last thing we got to be aggressive. We are the big underdog in this game. Cincinnati's favored by 21 points. We're going to have to do things that are not normal. We're going to have to go for it on 4th down a few times if the opportunity presents itself. We're going to have to maybe do one of these surprise onside kicks or a fake punt. We saw the fake field goal at Navy a couple of weeks ago. This is the time to pull that stuff out. Not then when you're favored by, 17 points going into that game. This is the week to pull out all the stops now. Gus is going to use all his tricks. Like I said, we win, we're in the driver's seat. We lose, we're behind the 8 ball. This game is everything for us. And if we can pull off this win, this would be one of the biggest wins in school history, beating the number 3 team in the country. Pull out all the stops. There's not time to be conservative here. We're a big underdog in this game. We're on the road. Go do whatever you got to do. Go for it on that 4th and 5 and your own side of the ball if you have to. I don't know, but you'll know it when you see it. And there's going to be chances to do that. And let's see if Gus has the cojones to pull
Did
it
you
off.
just ask Gustavo Malzahn to throw a couple trick plays, Mike? I mean, that's music to his ears. My only hope is he does it in the right parts of the game. To your point, he's done this in the past, but like we saw a lot of bit of it against Navy, we saw it against Louisville. Sometimes the momentum that he can mess with the rhythm if the team's got something rolling. So we saw the Louisville back pass to Dylan Gabriel, which worked out perfectly fine, but then we saw them try that little Joey Gatewood situation, and that didn't work out as well against Navy. So I think he's got to be calculated with when he wants to take those chances. To your point, I'm fine with us taking a chance if we can figure out a way to get some points on the board in sort of an unconventional manner. I think that'll go a long way at helping us win this game. But this is the game. I mean, listen, Gus has known this game's on the schedule. We've all known Cincinnati was going to be good. This is the game where what's Gus's game plan going to be? Has he been holding anything back in the previous games? Does he have something up his sleeve? Is he able to come up with something in film? He hasn't played a Luke Fickell coach team before, so he doesn't really have a whole lot of experience there. So this is where you bring in a veteran coach to come up with a game plan that hopefully will cause the other team to maybe do some things that they're not prepared to do, and maybe get a little confused. Now, I understand it'd be great to have a full complement, but we bagged on Heupel, and I'm the first one to be in that line because he never adjusted. He did the exact same thing over and over and over again, and we never made any changes. So can Gus come up with the game plan? This is his chance to do it, Mike. This is his time.
This is why he's getting paid the big bucks. This is why we brought this guy in, to win games like this. Can he pull it off? Let's find out on Saturday.
My third key to the game, Mike, is we have to win the money down on defense. I'm not saying every third down, but we have to win those downs where Cincinnati has an opportunity to maybe get points on the board or score. Here's a fun fact: their kicker, only 3 of 8 on the year. His long is 32. He has not been the most accurate kicker throughout his entire career. He struggled a ton in 2019. So if we can put Cincinnati in spots where they have to kick field goals versus touchdowns, A, that's huge. But B, we also have a kicker who may not be as solid in the kicking game. So if we can get off the field in those money downs, particularly when they're driving and maybe they're on our side of the field, that'll be a huge benefit to UCF. Obviously, Cincinnati's got a pretty good offense, Mike. We know that. We know that they're going to put up some points. We know Desmond Ridder. We know they got a bunch of dudes in the tight end room, and Josh Wiley and Leonard Taylor. They have that Alec Pierce kid who seems to burn us every year. So they have weapons. If we can figure out a way to neutralize them on those money downs, force them to kick field goals, force them to have to punt if they have to, force them to make some bad decisions, that'll be fantastic. Cincinnati, 73rd in the country on third down, Mike, 38% at this point. But they have gone for it 4 times on fourth down. They are 4 for 4 on fourth down. UCF's defense on third down, number 68 in the country. So something's got to give on this third down thing. Cincinnati hasn't been great so far year to date. If UCF can come up with a couple of stops, particularly in those money downs, let's trade 7 for opportunities to try for 3, and let's hope these averages hold out and they miss a couple of those 3s. Again, those are the kind of breaks that you're going to need if you want to upset a team at home or on the road, essentially, particularly the number 3 team in the country.
Yeah, it's the inverse of what we said earlier with us getting in third and short. We got to get them in third and long, force Ritter to throw the ball, and I think we'll be okay. The red zone, too. The red zone is going to be a big thing. We've been very good on offense. When we get in the red zone, we put points on the board. The defense, though, when we've allowed teams to go into the red zone, we had the one stop with the fumble on the first drive against East Carolina. Other than that, the last few weeks, when teams get in the red zone on us, they've been scoring points, too. So if we can sneak out of there, hold them to a field goal, maybe they miss a field goal or two, like you were saying, that'd be a big part of this game, too.
Yeah, I mean, none of this is easy, right? To your point, Mike, we got to get a couple of breaks. Some of these young guys have to really step up. We need a bunch of guys to make special plays. What about Mikey Keene? If you are in the locker room prior to the game against Cincinnati and Mikey Keene comes over and he says, "Hey, Mike, how you been, buddy? What do you want me to do today? What should I do?" What pep talk, what advice are you giving Mikey Keene?
You got to take care of the ball. That's the number one thing for him. He cannot turn the ball over. We can't have – remember when we lost there 2 years ago, Dylan Gabriel was making, his third or fourth start? And it was a tough environment. It was a night game. And I think the biggest play in that game, and he threw an interception that was a return for a touchdown. Ahmad Gardner, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And that was a backbreaker. You can't have a play like that. We talk about how we have to score on defense. We have to get a score on special teams. We can't allow them to have a score on defense or special teams. They got to earn their way all the way down the field. So, Mikey, just take care of the ball. Do what you got to do. Don't try to do too much. Just do what you can on first down, and I think we'll be okay. And the rest of the team's got to do their part too. No sloppiness.
Yeah, I feel like at some point though we're gonna need Mikey to make a special play for us. I don't know what that is. I mean, I think he's done a nice job, but we're gonna need him to make a play at some point. I mean, he's been able to be solid against both Navy and ECU, but I have a feeling at some point we're gonna need him to do something, make a big throw, stand in the pocket, make a deep read, something along those lines. So it's really a tough environment to go on the road. But to your point, we're kind of playing with house money. We're a 3-touchdown underdog at this point. So maybe it allows Mikey to play loose, play fast. Again, it's all about the game plan. If Gus can give him a good game plan and those guys can step up, we can figure some stuff out. Maybe Cincinnati's looking past us a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they're like, UCF's trash this year. Who knows, Mike? That's why they play the games, I suppose. But we're going to need a bunch of guys to make a couple of special plays to come out on top. And I think Mikey, he doesn't need to win as the game outright himself, but I think he's going to be called on at some point to make a play or two that's going to hopefully put us over the top.
That's fine. If he has to make a play, one big play, maybe 2 big plays, he doesn't have to make 5 or 6. And he can't do it all at once. It's going to come at some point. Stay calm, stay poised. He showed good poise the first 2 weeks. That's one thing I like about the kid. He hasn't panicked. He even the Navy game, he drove us right down the field there at the end of the game. After a tough back-and-forth game, he had us in position to win. So I think he's going to be okay. Just no big mistakes. That's what we got to avoid, the big mistake.
By the way, UCF Cincinnati, Saturday, high noon. Obviously, we know Cincinnati is a good team. Usually Mike and I come on here. We make fun of the other team. We say we're going to win this thing easy. We talk our shit. I don't know that we're in that spot this time around, friends. Cincinnati is going to be a tough opponent, and UCF is going to have to play a really good game, and maybe even a perfect game in some respects, particularly with all the guys that we're not going to have playing for us to come out with the victory. Mike, what's your level of optimism, I guess? I don't want to give you the prediction just yet. I know it's still early in the week. You may have some things that change for you. What's your level of optimism right now on a W?
On a W, I'm not feeling that optimistic. I'm hoping we're in the game. Keep us in it with under 10 minutes to go. Shorten the game. That's the thing you got to do when you're the underdog. Torchy always taught us you got to shorten the game, whatever you can do. Have a chance to win at the end. I mean, we're not going to go in there. We're 21-point underdogs. You can't think we're going to go in there and win by 2 scores. If we're going to win, it's going to be a tight game. Get your fingernails ready. There's going to be a lot of biting fingernails in the end of this game. Hopefully. I think that'll be a good thing for us. If the Cardiac Knights show up on Saturday, give us something to root for. But, I mean, if I had to bet on it, which you may hear in my pick segment coming up, I would not pick us to win. I'm hoping that we win. Let's see.
All right. More to come this week. Join us Thursday. We'll have some more preview stuff on UCF and Cincinnati. That'll be in the live show, 8 p.m. on social media. Trace Chuckle will join us for that, Mike. So stay tuned. We'll continue to look at some stuff, but obviously a daunting task ahead, and those are our keys to victory, Mike. And speaking of keys, the keys to a happy marriage sometimes is a fantastic invitation. Just in luck for you UCF fans out there, the Suns have your back, Mike. You know somebody who can hook them up with some great wedding invitations. Tell more about that.
That's right. My sister, Michelle, she has a fabulous wedding invitation company. They do more than just that. I have everything you need for your wedding. The save the dates, the vow books, the place cards on your wedding table, everything. She does it all. paperandlaceboutique.com. Go to her website now and check out all the stuff she can do. She can cater it to exactly how you want everything to look. You've got some kind of theme with your wedding, any kind of like colors and anything you want. She takes appointments. You can visit her website. You can give her a call at 954-597-6426. That's 954-597-6426. Tell her you heard about it here on the Sons of UCF. 10% off your first order. You will not regret this move. I know some people out there are getting engaged. Maybe you're going to set the date here coming up soon. This is one of the big things your fiance is going to get on you. You got to say, hey, contribute something to this wedding. All right. You set her up with the invitations, the most beautiful invitations. You're set. You probably don't have to do anything else after that. Hey, well, are you going to do anything about this wedding? Well, I got you the invitations, baby. That's it. That's all you got to tell her. The rest is on her. So give my sister a call. Go to the website, paperandlaceboutique.com. You will not regret it.
And also, you will not regret taking Mike's advice on how to talk to your fiance. Coming up next, he'll talk nicer to you and give you some free picks. Sons UCF. We'll be right back.
This is UCF Athletic Director Terry Mohajri, and in my spare time when I'm not on TikTok, I'm listening to Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Go Knights and charge on.
All right. They play them. Mike picks them. Here we go with Mike's weekly picks. He will go through some games in the American Conference, and he will tell you who's going to win based on the point spread. We've been doing this all season long, Mike, and you've been doing it on the show. Last week's performance was how for you?
Last week started off rough. I went 1-2 on my picks. I lost Cincinnati against Temple. I thought Temple would keep it close. Cincinnati blew them out of the water. I had SMU taking care of business against Navy. That was a close game. Navy hung in there, so I lost that one too. The one game I won, I had East Carolina covering the 10 points against UCF. They did that. So 1-2 for the week. For the season, I'm 7-10-1. Not great. On the pool tracker, I was just as bad. 2-4 last week.
Oof.
Yeah, it's not looking good, man. I went 20. I'm 27-31 for the season. Still a game ahead of Trace, who picked up ground on me. I think it was 3 ahead of him going into last week. He's 26-32. You are the best Suns prognosticator so far this year. 32-26. Good job so far.
Ooh.
Still hanging in there, right? A game behind the leader, Nightwalker, who's been in the lead now for the last few weeks. He's 33-25. So it's getting late for me to start making a move on this guy. You got plenty of time. You could still win this hat. You can win that.
Can't win. I can't wait to win the hat.
You can win the what is it? The sweater, the hoodie.
Yep.
The Citronaut hoodie. So and the basketball tickets. I think I'm going to buy some basketball tickets to the winner of this thing too. So let's see who. This is going to get crunch time now. Now this week there's only 3 conference games. I got forced into which games I have to pick. A lot of teams on bye weeks this week. There's only 3 games to pick. I had to pick all 3 of them. So let's get it going. Let's see what happens here. I need a big week.
Wow, you do need a big week, Mike, and we'll see We'll see what you got, I guess. Do you say hit the music? Do I say what's next?
Hit the music.
There we go.
All right. Game number 1, Navy. They're getting 10.5 points on the road at Memphis. The midshipmen may have turned things around. I mean, they played very well against us, and this past week against an SMU team, which a lot of us think is a pretty good team, they were right in there with them. They only lost by 7 points. Navy maybe figured some things out here on offense. They're putting points on the board. The Tigers, on the other hand, they beat Mississippi State about a month ago. Feels like about 2 years ago when they won that game, because since then, they've lost 3 in a row to UTSA, Temple, and Tulsa. So they have not been playing well, these Memphis Tigers. Their defense has given up 30-plus points every game. They gave up over 50. I think they gave up 50 exactly to Arkansas State, a game they actually won. But defense looks shaky over there. And the Navy run game may have found their little thing against us. They're controlling the clock. This is a recipe for disaster for Memphis. I don't know how they're favored by 10.5 points. I think Navy at least keeps it close in this one. Maybe Memphis wins, but I can't say that they're going to win by 11 or more. So give me the midshipmen to cover 10.5 on the road.
Yeah, I'm a big Navy fan all of a sudden. I mean, I think it's in our best interest for that to work out. So give me Navy. Yeah, I don't know if they went outright, but they beat or they lost to SMU by a touchdown, right? SMU is a pretty good football team, and so I think the law of averages holds true, and maybe Memphis sneaks one out. But I think that spread's probably too rich for my blood. Give me Navy as well. Go midshipmen.
Yeah, even Navy. I think the game they lost to Houston was a closer game too, right?
It was,
the last few weeks they've been playing a lot better football compared to the first few weeks where, I don't know, how can we say that we lost to a team that lost to Marshall by like 38 points? It still bothers me. Don't make me pissed off, Mike, again.
I'm sorry, I didn't. You brought it up.
That loss is going to stick in me all year.
You can be mad at yourself. I didn't do it.
Unless we beat Cincinnati this week, then all is forgiven. Game number 2, Tulsa on the road, minus 8.5 points, road favorites against the Cows. Tulsa has been a mystery this year. I don't know what to make of these guys. One week they play good, the next week they look stupid. They played Oklahoma State tough on the road early in the year. They beat Arkansas State, which is a team that can put some points up here and there. They get blown out against Houston. Then they come back and they beat Memphis. I don't know what to do with the Golden Hurricane this season. We know how we are against them every year. I'm glad we don't play them this year because that'd be the one week they look really good. And the Cows are coming off a bye this week. They're still looking for their first D1 win, probably in the last 3 seasons now. They haven't had one this year. They didn't have one the year before. You got to go back a while for the Cows to have beaten a decent football team. This game is a noon kickoff at Raymond James Stadium. You can expect maybe a dozen or so people at this game. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a raucous 10 people, 12 friends and family only type atmosphere. I think Tulsa still puts up 30 points against these guys. I think they win by 10. So give me Tulsa to cover 8.5 on the road against the Cows. The Cows have not been impressive at all this year. And plus, screw the Cows. I hate the Cows, so I'm not going to pick them.
Yeah, I never picked the Cows as one of my my betting axioms. Well, I will say they've definitely looked like they've been a tad improved. The BYU game, obviously, they put up more points. They're still a young team. I don't know if they know how to win just yet. I think they're trying this Timmy McClain kid at quarterback. He apparently is pretty decent, although I think he's a true freshman as well. So can they make winning plays? Sure, they can put some points up and maybe score. But, do they know how to close games? They haven't done it. I think 700-something days, if I remember correctly. So I agree with you. I think Tulsa out-veterans them and out-hits them and pushes them around a little bit. So give me Tulsa, maybe by 10, maybe by 14. And maybe the Cows keep it interesting, but I think Tulsa pulls it on the end.
Yeah, I hope so. If anything, we can't have the Cows saying that they own Tulsa and we could never beat them. So. But I think they actually have a pretty good record against Tulsa all the time, unlike us. Game number 3, Here it is. The marquee game, the game we all circled before the season started. This was the weekend we were looking forward to. It's supposed to be a big showdown, top 15 teams. Really, if you boil it down to it, it's the one play that has ruined our season, the interception return against Louisville. Because if that doesn't happen and we kick that field goal, there is no Dylan Gabriel injury at the end of that game. And you can't tell me that we're going to lose to Navy with Dylan at quarterback. I think for sure we win that game. We'd be what? Number 13, 15, 17. Who knows? We're in there for sure. Against the number 3 team in the country. Bearcats got all the way up to number 3 in a playoff, college football playoff scenario. I mean, this is not the CFP rankings, right? Because they could be number 3 today, and when that comes out, they could be number 8 for all we know. But everything is falling in place for these guys. Alabama lost this week. I mean, Oregon loses. All these top teams are dropping, and these guys keep moving up their rankings. UCF, we know the story. We know all the injuries. It could get ugly. If we're so shorthanded against these guys, who knows? We lost a close game to them last year. Can we slow down their offense? That is the key to this game. Desmond Ridder, we know the damage he can do on us with the tight ends. They killed us last year. That is what this whole game is going to come down to. Stay in this game. Keep it close to the end. I think a noon game helps us. That it's not a night game. It's not maybe as raucous of an atmosphere. Maybe the Cincinnati fans come into this game assuming a win against a depleted UCF team. Maybe they're not into it in the first half. Maybe we can catch them sleeping a little bit early in this game. I think it's close most of the way. I think the Bearcats do pull away in the fourth quarter. They just have too much depth for us right now. Maybe something to the tune of 35-21. But still, that's only 14 points. 21 points to me is a lot. I know I picked against Cincinnati to cover 28 against Temple. I'm hoping we're much better than Temple. Give me UCF on the road to cover the 3 touchdowns, even though UCF has not been good against the spread, especially recently. No. So and maybe this is just a homer pick by me. I can't see it. If we lose by more than 21, I can't even imagine doing this show next week. That would be a homer.
Oh, man. Well, first off, news while you were talking, Kalia Davis' newsletter come out. He has a torn ACL, which is probably what we expected. So, obviously, he will be out for this game. Another one of the big injuries. I guess there's still some question marks. Is Bowser, is Jay Flash, is there any possibility those guys are coming back? It would seem unlikely, but you never know who we get back. Ricky Barber, is he going to climb off your milk carton and onto the field? We don't really know. 21 points is a lot. But here's the problem. I see this thing going one of two ways. A complete blowout, or a close game, a one-possession game down to the end. It's one or the other, in my opinion. It's not going to be, 21-7. It's not one of those games. So either it's a complete blowout and Cincinnati runs away with it, or, it's a close one and we have to figure it out in the end. The old Knight fan in me says this is one where we get down, 24-0 by the second quarter and we just can't figure out a way to get back into it. But even in that scenario, I think we probably figure out a way to get some points on the board. I'll take the points here. I don't think Cincinnati, well, I think they probably are the better team in this one, and they have the most probability of winning this thing outright. By 21 seems like a lot. So I'm gonna take the points here. But I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I don't feel great either. It very easily could be a 10-point game in the fourth quarter where we think we're going to make a game of it, and then they bang us for 2 touchdowns and we lose by 24. We don't cover the spread. I could see that happening too.
The last 2 games, obviously, we played against them have been, a 7-point win by them and then a 3-point win last year. The game day game, we won 38-13. But again, we don't, obviously we're missing just too much talent on both sides of the ball. Cincinnati obviously is a good team at home. This is an uphill battle for sure. Again, this feels like one of those things where we're out of this thing early and it's a blowout, or we're hanging around. That's one possession. I'm going to hope it's the latter, so I'll go that route. But obviously, there's a lot of things that have to go right for us.
Yeah. Either driver's seat or behind the 8 ball. This is a big game for us. Cautiously optimistic. We'll see what Gus has. This would be a huge win for Gus. He can make up a lot. And very shorthanded. This would be I don't think there's too many people in UCF land that think we're going to come in and win this game. I think a lot of us are hoping that we'll come in and make it a good one and pull it out. But if you give all the UCF fans true serum, I think most of us think we're going to lose this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I'm sure we'll talk about this on the show Thursday. I think a lot of people are, probably in that same camp. We know there's an uphill battle here. I think I'd be curious to see how many people think that, UCF can pull out, pull out a little bit of an upset here. We'll figure it all out. Again, Jordan's in the live show. Well, I don't know what the hell that was here, right? Jordan's in the live show, and we will break it all down for you. But let's close up shop here, Mike. Cow of the week. I'll let you take a little break here, and you guys come back, and we'll do a cow of the week. Sons of the UCF. Wow, I can't even talk. Sons of UCF.
Okay, sons of UCF, both of you, you are the problem.
All right, this must be the most exciting cow of the week we've had in a long time, because UCF Mike is prepared with not one, he said several cow options. Typically, Mike decides this in the 30 seconds or so before I hit this red button that says record. So I'm excited. I don't even know what they are. I have a feeling I know what one is because he kind of gave it away a little bit. But let's go cow of the week style, Mike. What do you got?
Yeah, I actually did just decide this in the last 30 seconds as we were recording that last segment talking about the Cincinnati game. Man. Okay, one, the Tampa Bay Rays. You guys are cows.
Yeah.
You guys just got beaten by the Red Sox 3-1. You win 100 games this year, 100 wins, 62 losses, and now out in the first round. I hate to say it, but when the Red Sox were pounding them earlier in this game, I can't say that I was rooting for the Red Sox because I hate the Red Sox, but I hate the Tampa Rays too. So screw them. The Montreal Rays, whatever, they're out. Good. I hope I'm rooting for the White Sox in the American League, because I hate the Astros too. Mm-hmm. But at least one of these guys is out, and it's Tampa. No, the other thing is it's me. It's me. I mean, I kind of let you guys in on this. I've been in this survivor pool, and I've completely outthunk myself this week. For sure, I should have gone with my very first instinct. Tennessee, I said, Tennessee, there's no way they lose to the Jets last week and then come back and lose to Jacksonville this week with all that Urban Meyer has been going through. That was the obvious pick. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. Completely outthought myself this week. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to switch it to the Patriots. The Patriots are playing the Texans. And, the Texans, who's their quarterback? Davis Mills or whatever. That's an easy win, right? I switched it to the Patriots. And then I switched out of it back to another one that I was going with. Tonight's game, the Baltimore Ravens. I took the Ravens at home against the Colts. The Colts only had one win against the depleted Miami Dolphins team last week. I said, Lamar Jackson at home on a Monday night. That's the way to go. I took the Ravens, and right now, with 12:51 to go in the fourth quarter, I am down 22-9. I need 2 touchdowns out of these guys. I don't feel good about it. Maybe by the time this game's over, maybe these guys do come out and pull it off, but I'm about to be out of my survivor pool for outthinking myself. And paralysis by analysis. UCF Mike, the Baltimore Ravens, screw you. It's not looking good.
It's 25-9. The Colts kicked a field goal.
Oh, even worse. So it's basically over.
Yes.
We were down 16. Well, you guys scored 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions just to tie. All right. Well, it only cost me $10, but still, it would have been fun to go through the rest of this year and see how far I can go. Whatever. It's over. My picks are not good. I gotta tell you, I'm in a picks league for the NFL too. Straight up picks, not doing well there either. You know how my picks are doing here on the show and in the pool tracker, and now Survivor. Basically, I know nothing about football. Let's put it that way. I've been watching football. I'm 41 years old now. Basically watching since I was 6 years old. So the last 35 years of watching football has done me no good. I know nothing about football.
It's been a rough couple of weeks for you. I mean, obviously UCF on a 2-game losing streak. Yankees are out of it now. Obviously, you're not doing so well in the pools, it sounds like. You just paid for some Uber guys' college tuition. This has been a rough couple of weeks for you, buddy. The Giants, I don't want to bring that up, by the way.
Sneezes and he gets hurt every freaking week. That Daniel Jones looked like with Deontay Wilder just stumbling around the freaking football field after he takes a shot to the head.
Yeah,
it's been bad.
It's been a rough couple of weeks.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I got nothing. That's why I was so excited about this UCF win. It was an ugly win, but I'm going to take it.
So it sounds like what we've learned is Angry Mike is more deep-rooted than we thought. Some people are concerned about you, but it sounds like Angry Mike, this has been bubbling for a while now. I mean, this isn't just a one-and-done situation. This is a Lifetime Achievement Award, at least a month-long achievement award.
Yeah, it's not been good. I went on a vacation. You know what's been good? I've had a couple of vacations the last couple of weeks. You know, I went on a cruise a couple of weeks ago. This week, I took the trip to Orlando. We did the Halloween Horror Nights. It's been good. But that also, too, I have not been working out. I've been very lazy the last couple of weeks. I gotta pick that back up. That's it. Now that the Yankees are out, no more staying up late watching baseball. Time to get back in the groove here again.
Oh, wow. Focused UCF Mike.
Starting not tomorrow because I've already been drinking beers during the show. Starting Wednesday, we're back on track.
Back on track on Wednesday for Mike. All right, well, I got a couple of people who aren't back on track, so let me go down this list. First, I did not see it myself. I watched some of the replay of it. This ESPN Plus broadcast of the game against ECU was just all over the place. There were all kinds of issues, announcers, volume, yada, yada, yada. My two favorite parts were the pregame introductions where they're showing the starting lineups. They had both Jake Hescock and Sam Jackson with the wrong dude pictured. Both those guys had very large African-American gentlemen in their places as opposed to their actual pictures. So ESPN Plus did misidentify both Sam Jackson and Jake Hescock. And so the whole broadcast seemed like it was a crap show based on social media. Again, I saw a few plays as I was watching it back, and it did not look any good. So ESPN Plus continues to impress. Way to go. Like, you know what Kenny Dillingham is?
Kenny Dillingham, never heard of him.
All right, well, he is the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach now at Florida State. Previously, the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach with Mike Norvell at Memphis. You're familiar with Memphis Mike Norvell, correct?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. So Kenny Dillingham decided to put a tweet out. 10/10 was Mackenzie Milton's birthday. So Mackenzie obviously celebrating his 24th birthday now. And Coach Dillingham put a little message out on Twitter. It said, "Happy birthday to the quarterback who found a way to outscore us in back-to-back championship games, 108-93. Glad you're on our side now." There's only one problem with that tweet, Mike.
Yeah, he was not watching that second game.
I don't know. He was there, I believe. Only one problem with that tweet, Mike. Obviously, Mackenzie did not play in that second game because he had gotten injured, and that actually was Daryl Mack. So Coach Dillingham was trying so hard to say something nice about Mackenzie Milton, wanted to get in there, wanted to give his guy some love, and he completely botched the tweets. So cow of the week for Kenny Dillingham.
Wow. That's a little embarrassing. The ESPN Plus thing I thought was funny. For Samuel Jackson, they just put number 73 from the other team in his spot.
I don't know. I tried to figure out who those guys were. I tried to look them up, but I didn't want to go through picture by picture, and so I just gave up. But yes, neither one of them. The Hescock one's even funnier, just for reasons I'll leave out. And then, Mike, the third cow of the week this week. Again, I got to do this. I got to go close to home. My lovely daughter Addison is she's going to escape, but she was really close to being the cow of the week. Mike, you mentioned second half of the game we were up in the upper sort of standing section in the cabana, nice breeze, nice view, tables to bang on, beer nearby. It was actually a pretty sweet setup. The only challenge when you're up there is there's no place to sit. You and I were fine. We were into the game. We were leaning on the counter. We were good. But the little people that we were with, the kids, they were all getting antsy. The wives, they were all getting antsy and sitting down. Addison decides to sit down right underneath the counter and take a few minutes off her feet. Well, she does that. Guess what happens? UCF scores. So you and I both look at her and it's like, you're going to have to stay there the rest of the night. This is where you're going to be at, right? So she did that for a couple of plays, and all of a sudden I turn around and she's gone. She got up. She was moving someplace else. And that's when things kind of fell back off for UCF. She did come back and sit back down in that very same spot again, and UCF came out with the victory. So Addison was really close to getting that cow of the week. I think she was angling for it, but she came back just in time for that last touchdown. So she's off the hook, but she was really close to being left at the stadium.
Yeah, we talked about how your son might be the jinx last week.
Yes.
He finally got a win under his belt.
He
Good
did.
for him.
Yep.
And Addison, I'm already petitioning. We got to get in touch with Timo. If she does decide in 4 years she's at UCF, that's her dorm. It's right there in that spot. Under,
okay.
She's living there under that counter.
It's probably not a bad place to live, right? All things considered. I mean, it gets hot in the summer maybe, but.
Yeah, that could be a problem. But she'll have good seats.
She should be in shape. She can run steps all the time, right? I mean, if they get those beverage stations open, she may have some food and drink laying around there. I mean, it might not be a bad spot.
They don't sell hot dogs, so there's no eating junk up there.
Yeah, her nitrate count will be low. That'll be good.
Oh, man. But yeah, good times, man. Good times seeing you guys up there. We got to do that again. Like I said, it's been a while since the families got together.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I'm just glad my daughter could make it out alive and almost become the cow of the week there. That was a big moment. Like, those are the cows of the week. We got a bunch of options this week. A lot of different things took place, obviously, but all in all, look, we got a win on the board, 3-2 now, and we knew this day was coming. It's an uphill battle. We have a tough game against Cincinnati, but that's why they play them. Anything can happen. You never know. Breaks can come in any part of the game. Maybe UCF catches a few, and you never know. Either way, join us Thursday, if you will, Mike. I know you'll be there. I'll be there. Trace Trelka will be there, 8 p.m. Facebook, YouTube, and maybe Twitter. Twitter's been acting funny with the live show. We may switch to Twitch. I'm not really sure if we're going to do that just yet. But either way, 8 p.m. Also YouTube channel, which you can get through our website at twonatesmedia.com. If you guys want to check that stuff out, we'll be there at 8 o'clock, and we will break down as much of the game as we can. And hopefully we'll talk about things that'll lead us to a victory. Until then, you people have a fantastic week. We hope you enjoyed a happier edition of the Sons of UCF, and we'll talk to you guys all on Thursday. Everybody go Knights.
Charge on. See you guys in the driver's seat.